On Smite Draft League. My name is Hexagon, and I'm being joined today by my co-caster.
Yep, that is me, the co-caster. I'm Kingfisher, and good to be coming at you guys now with the kickoff event.
The Divine Finals are here. Flourish versus Sunbreakers. A matchup that was heating up all season long. The true clash begins this weekend as they go to war. Who will come out on top and be the first Divine Division champion for the Smite Draft League?
They have their opening. They gotta do it. The Titans only at half health. They have the opening. They just have to take it. Born to Mean drops almond butter, and they're gonna do it! The flames of Wild Inferno may have lit up the skies, but Eclipse has blocked out the sun! Retreat on back quickly! Unfortunately, not gonna find it. The return kill there from Cactus Arm. 2-1 though, Titan. Not terrible. Just get out! World Weaver, no! Gonna find him! Dash on out quickly, my friend, before you are found too by the World Serpent. He's hungry for the world as well as your soul. But meanwhile, the Fire Minions, the real MVP, weren't even paying attention to it. It was all a red herring.
Is going to be full of shrimp, but it will not be enough. Dark Omen will end up taking game number 2.
Once, and now the poison's been spread to him, buddy. Infection. Oh my god! Keep the face, gonna put the kill in the return on the flippin' ninja. What was that? What happened there to flippin'? And now I'm a monster fights cookie named Joe. Where did flippin' go? It's the captain and the hero against the sieging onslaught of Flourish. Can Eclipse hold it? Flourish, they say the finals. They're gonna go for it. They're on a Titan. Lawbringer on in, the bomb's been dropped at the very least. Troll trying to divert as much attention on the Z-Tan. Nice there, the last breath can actually push him out of the crush. I'm a monsters here though. Big damage onto the Titan. Flourish will take it. They're moving to finals. Excellent work to both teams, but in the end, just too little, too late. Flourish gonna be taking this one home.
Because the Only will be dropped. And it's actually Baki blinking in, getting a triple pull. Spirits of 9 win in return. Just one hitting full of shrimps.
Dark Omen, it's a double kill for Ragemore. Deicide on the way of Dark Omen, and that could do it. Sunbreakers, on a simple misplay, is walking into the throne room with no answer for 20 seconds. That is going to do it. Sunbreakers will go to the finals. We got Sunbreakers in all 3 finals. Flourish will be waiting. Dark Omen season ends here. Triple kill for Patrocles! Tactical Faders was an underdog all season long, but now they can call themselves Smite Draft League champions! But Flourish is looking to commit. Eva finds a kill on Dr. Killjoy, looking for another and gets a double kill onto Realty. The Fire Giant gets taken away by Kingslayers, and Flourish's game plan may have fallen apart at the Fire Giant. Zax gets picked off. It's a triple kill for Eva was taken. Can he find more? They're on to A1. The powwow comes up. It's a quadra kill for Eva was taken, and they're on the tier 2, and they're feeling aggressive. It's just the captain of Flourish remaining, and Eva goes in. They're looking for it. The timer's not in their favor, and Post certainly doesn't want to give it to them, but they're going to go for it regardless. It's delayed. It's a penta. One way or another, that's a deicide. Kingslayers has erased Flourish off the map. Bring them back, and the Titan is going to fall. Reward the faith. Take down the naysayers. The Haven has been breached. Somebody call the guards. The Kingslayers are on the loose, and they're going to the semifinals.
until the door is back up, and all you have is Bo and Souls, and you maybe pull someone into the fountain. That's the only chance you have. But man, that Titan's going down fast.
I'm a Monster is down too. Cage is down. Souls is down. Oath Keepers have proven themselves the threat. They're going to be moving on. Excellent work there from Heavy Warcrier and the support squad. That's going to be the set. All 5 members just collapsing onto it, and they have the Fire Giant and the damage to provide. Ken is taking as much damage as possible. That Heavy Warcry impression's holding up, buddy. Remarkable Wolf gonna gobble up Akamaru there. This is looking like a classic Fable where the Wolf is the big bad one. Dropped by the Duck in trade, but it's a bit too late. Sunbreakers gonna be moving on there for semifinals into the finals.
Everyone always says the same thing. When they play, there is nothing more exciting to watch. And finally the moment has arrived. Dark Omen versus Sunbreakers. Teddy versus Ratmill.
Teddy gets it! Double kill for the Bakasura! Sunbreakers will follow their hero all the way through, and they're still not done. Teddy doesn't care about a fountain, doesn't care about a phoenix, doesn't care about nothing, just cares about getting Sunbreakers to the next round. It's just up to Oreo to defend. Sunbreakers is in the throne room, and they're not giving up anytime soon. The Titans are already down to half health. Can they do it? Can they wreck the garden? Oreo finds a kill in the digits. He's holding on strong. Titans at 25, but there's fire minions. There's health bars. There's Teddy. There's a big baby. The Titan is gonna drop. You can't stop it. The sun is broken. The garden is burned. It's a Sunbreakers victory. They're going to semis.
Teddy.
Up. Gonna be doing a decent amount of damage to Bayro. Gets the leap on out. Jesus, that was quick. The immediate attack speed presence is such a threat. Teddy, though, in the back line, gonna be a bigger one, finishing the job for Bayro. Double kill. This is once again looking to be a complete route for Teddy. Teddy, triple kill there on. Do something drastic. They need a hero, and they need it now. And here we go. Bean Soup Bob goes in and finds Power, and Power is dropped very low very quickly. But Bean Soup Bob has gone very deep. Rouge Rebuke comes out. Tegveer landed into Rouge Rebuke. Kaiveka gets a kill on the Bean Soup Bob. Tegveer found one onto Power. Dark Omen cannot lose too many members. A cliff just has to erase them. Fear No Evil comes out as a double kill for Rapnoke. He found 2. They're doing it. They're defending. Kaiveka's gonna double kill. Tegveer gets a down. It's a triple kill for Kaiveka. Happens in Fear No Evil, and Happens gone. Kaiveka gets a kill in a Ganesh. This is it. This is the opening. It's a double kill for Kaiveka. Tegveer goes up into the sky. It's a triple kill for Kaiveka. They're going to run it down. Dark Omen at the Fire Giant did exactly what they needed to do. Bean Soup Bob's in mid. Tegveer's at the Phoenix, and Dark Omen is sieging. They're walking in the throne room. It's a 2v5. And Dark Omen has their answer. They're on the Titan. Colossal Fury comes out. Tegveer's already half health. Bean Soup Bob kills Power. Can he defend it? He's got a double kill, but Power got it. And that's it. That is it. Dark Omen get it. In the set of this season, Dark Omen move on to the semi-finals. They've done it. Hello, I've got Divine Sunbreakers with me as they've made it all the way to finals. They had their interviews pre-planned, and I'm sure they're both happy to be here. I've got Evan TGW and Koala Man both with me. Happy Wild Koala Day, by the way. I'm sure you know that's today.
Yeah, actually, Evan just told me about that.
I just told him about it.
Even better. How are you guys doing?
Good, how about you?
I am good. Thank you for taking time to talk with me. I know it's probably busy getting ready for, an actual big set. So
You've kidnapped us out of VOD reviews.
I
How
know.
dare
What
you.
have I done? If anything goes wrong, you can blame me. That's normally the route people take anyway. So you've
We will
both
plan on it.
obviously been a crucial part of Sunbreakers' success this season, but your whole team has performed well. But what would you think, and we'll start with you, Evan, for funsies, what do you think would be the keys to your individual success, especially with the fact that your team has been one of the ones that stayed together kind of through thick and thin comparatively?
I think the number one reason why we have performed so well this season, why we all individually in draft looked kind of weak but have meshed so well together, is extremely consistent scrims. There's a lot of teams who don't scrim very often. Some of them made quarters, semis. We have scrimmed 4 to 5 days a week every single week of this season. We're scrimming not just Divine teams. We have scrimmed 4 separate Immortal teams, 2 of which hit finals. We have beat a lot of the Immortal teams. We have put a lot of time into playing together, and that has helped us all pop off individually and together as a team.
What about you, Koala?
So this is my first competitive experience.
Oh, that's awesome to hear.
So it was took a bit of a process of changing, and thankfully I had good teammates. And then on top of that, there's Henergy. I knew I was always an aggressive player, but having somebody such as Henergy there to kind of point it out and prod at me, telling me not to take every single fight humanly possible when I'm, 3 levels down, was really nice. And then just what Evan said, we scrim all the time, and we always go over what happened if we do well or don't do well. We always talk it out as a team.
I mean, that's important. In the scrimming thing, I find it really interesting because it says a lot about, as simple as it may be, as many teams overlook it, both you and Flourish are both crazy scrim teams. I mean, of the two, I feel like I see both teams always talking about it and participating. So speaking of Flourish, so you have finals coming up against Divine Flourish. How are you guys feeling about the match? But more specifically, what do you think is the biggest challenge that you're faced with Flourish that you feel comfortable sharing? Of course, I don't want you to give out secrets, but what's the biggest challenge you guys are facing?
Well, so how am I feeling about it? I'd say I'm feeling pretty good, as we did lose against them for the first week, but that's when we, didn't scrim a whole lot, didn't really know each other, didn't mesh very well together. But then after that in scrims, we found success, and then we never really lost after that for a long period of time until we started scrimming Immortal teams. And we've kind of been riding that high and really figured out what works well. And then what am I more so worried about with Flourish? I'd say probably the jungle presence. As I said before, I'm a really aggressive person, so I really need to make sure I stay on top of my game and just don't give any free kills where I don't have to.
And what about you, Evan?
As for how I'm feeling, confident, living it up. There are a lot of things that I have prepared for this matchup. I was ready for this matchup when we first hit playoffs and we're on the bottom side of the bracket. As for the thing to be worried about, it's not their mid lane. That E-set did not look too pretty. I am 100% worried about flipping. There is no one else in this jungle tier aside from a certain trap bunny who can match him, and I think that we are ready to take him down.
Okay, what about, just to dig a bit further then, I mean, again, if you can totally shut me down if you're trying to keep secrets. What about the E-set stood out to you so strongly? You seemed so, ready to fight for that point.
As a man who is very fond of the bad off-meta mid picks, that E-set was just bad, man. That E-set just did not look pretty. I would have much rather seen a Yorm mid.
Well, I know the mid matchup is something that most of the casters are definitely looking forward to, and for me, it's a bit of a bragging time period for me because of my beginning 2 predictions for divisions. I had Sunbreakers versus Flourish the whole time. I just kind of changed around here and there, but Divine, I always felt strong. We were debating behind the scenes. I came through for this one. I got screwed in Godlike because it was a first round matchup. That was my number 1 matchup to look for, but hey, I got my Divine one, so I'm cool with that. So moving on for the next one then. So you talked about the E-set. They're still a strong team, and like you said, flipping is the problem. I can attest to that, considering I had to play against and playing Bastet ADC in the preseason games. With how impressive they've been, what do you think about your team
is kind of like, what do you think matches that? How are you planning on taking advantage and working around the problem if the problem is jungle?
Well, the way that I've always seen our team is that we have a lot of win conditions, and it's really hard to focus and shut down any one member. So let's do what every team says they're gonna do and just dive in every team fight, right? We get that every game, so we know exactly how to play around it. And there's been games where Optic is like that Najah game. Me and Evan just kind of were like, oh well, you can carry and kill everyone. We'll just do our own thing, take objectives. And then there's been other games where Optic has been doing so hot, so then I do a whole lot of damage on the CERN, and it's just really hard for them to pin down our team, which always allows us to get to our late game, which is where I think we really excel. So it kind of gives us really good win conditions.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Optic actually got the Neisha in your last playoff set. That surprised me that was able to work out for you guys. I was never expecting to see that. I feel like that was one of the things that the casters were screaming about. Like, yeah, you can't do that. You can't have a Neisha walking behind your Phoenix at like 15 minutes, you know? So same question. Let's move on to you with it. Evan, what are some things that you guys are looking at in particular?
Echoing part of what Koala said, our 3 side lanes are our 3 strongest roles. You can put all the jungle pressure you want on one of them, but the other 2 are just going to thrive. We're going to flourish. We're going to outlane whatever we're up against. And as soon as we hit late game, as soon as we start team fighting, nothing can kill me and Koala. There is no solo jungle who can beat me and Koala in a dive.
Okay, I love the confidence. So let's go right back to you, Evan. So, you know, for most mid lane players, it's you know, you're simple, you're mage, or you're hunter. For you, it's you know, kind of like a southern buffet kind of thing. How deep does your god pool go? Like, what's the, you know, where are you willing to dive in depth? Is there still? I mean, we've seen a Wheelix mid. We all know how much Fdot loved it. We've seen Yorm mid. I heard about an Atlas mid in scrims. What's the limit for you? Is there still things we haven't seen?
Partially, so starting with the God Pool, echoing Koala, this is also my first competitive experience. This season is the first. I have spent 6 seasons being an absolute casuals demon. I wasn't queuing ranked. I would just play casuals with my friends and climb up the elo. Coming into this, that means a lot of the experience I got getting from other roles. I'd play a lot of solo, play a decent bit of ADC and support. That means all the random off picks, all the times I'd play op watch support, they all come to fruition. All the experience I get there means that I have had time to practice a lot of picks. And there's at least 3 picks I've been holding the entire playoffs run just for this finals.
Ooh, that is frightening to hear. And with the best of 5, I mean, you actually have time to utilize things like that. And it's one of the things I'm looking the most forward to is seeing kind of how like teams' playstyles are going to evolve over the 5 games. So let's go to you, Koala, next. So your responsibility is clear in a game, but with, like you guys said, your side lanes are so effective. You kind of have a bit of an easier position than some other ADCs might, because you don't necessarily need to drop 46k damage a game to get your team a win. You can just perform well. So kind of with that in mind, what's your, as you're farming, as you're going through your laning phase into late game, what's your personal mindset? What are your responsibilities that you're trying to hit and check off as you're going through the game?
Well, a lot of it kind of depends on the laning phase and the matchup. If they pick somebody who's, if they ban out a lot of really good early game gods, and then I'll just pick somebody late game AFK farm until we get to the team fight phase, and then I just basically play protect the VIP, and as they dive Evan, I kill them. So that's kind of how a lot of the games go. Now, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes I do have to take the more aggressive role, and I'm a really aggressive player, so I do start a good amount of fights. Maybe not always for the best, but... So I'd say first, number 1 is protecting Evan and making sure our mid is able to get his abilities off. Because with people like Optic and Cactus on the team, they create so much space for me that I really do just get the ADC experience of just slinging left clicks all game.
Yeah.
So I'd say probably my biggest goal is just to kill whoever's diving Evan, and then also just be there so that we can shred any objectives.
So how has and either of you can jump on this one first, how has having Trap Bunny and Giant Dog and having them be able to switch around roles, how has that changed the game planning? Because, I mean, that's a pretty significant addition. Most people, I mean, we've seen how subs can be utilized in Divine. Most people don't view them as sort of like a secret weapon. but I feel like for you guys in particular, Trap Bunny kind of is your secret weapon, almost kind of like you don't want to show him as much as possible. How has that evolved, and how are you guys utilizing him? I mean, I don't want you to give away who your starting jungler is, of course, but has he definitely earned his way further in? And Giant Dog, to his credit, pops off in support just as much as he does in jungle, so it puts you guys in a really interesting spot.
I'll kidnap this one because this is a thing that I've had a lot of discussions with Cactus about. So coming into the season, Cactus, as our team captain, was unsure if he'd be able to play. His housing situation was a little bit, he didn't know for sure. So he had picked up EM because he had expected Dog to roll swap to support. Because I know we've said in another interview, Dog is playing his third best role. He plays support and ADC. He plays a bit of solo, but jungle is just not his forte.
Okay.
However, even with that, he's put a lot of time this season into jungle, as well as other roles for anytime we need a sub. He plays solo, he plays support, he can play ADC. Dog is a very flexible player who we use to fill in a lot of our bad spots, whereas EM has been on the grind. He has been slamming all of the jungle games. He has been getting better and better every single day. And this is someone who I think is the best, if not second best jungler in Divine, and it's on the team as our sub, which is saying something.
Yeah, the whole time that Trap Bunny was in Challenger, which granted wasn't long and not many games were cast, I honestly feel like had he stayed in Challenger, he might have been able to carry a team past one of the victories. Wouldn't have been too surprising to me, honestly. But yeah, that
it
gives
just
you
couldn't
guys
have been
so
up
many
against
options.
us.
Yeah, fair. Definitely fair. But yeah, that having those options is so valuable, and a lot of teams don't have that because a lot of teams, even their sub is kind of limited. You know, you might pick up a sub and say, well, hopefully they can pop it anywhere, but then you put them in ADC and they've never played more than a couple troll games on Artemis or whatever. So being able to have that is gigantic. So as a team, what do you guys say your communication's like during matches? Because especially considering, and I know this has been asked to you guys as a team before, but considering how much behind-the-scenes work you do, Evan, I'm curious, once you guys get in-game, who starts to take over the shot calling, who's making the kind of the hard calls and the hard decisions?
So I'd say Cactus kind of was correct when he said that he said a lot of the macro plays as well, along with Evan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, there's the micro of so-and-so's jump is down, beads is down. But when it comes to the macro, I would definitely say it's Evan and Cactus. They will say something, and the team will reciprocate it. We'll either say, yeah, let's do it, or we'll kind of not want to do it. And we do really good as a team of following each other, so that if they say we should go for a Gold Fury, and then Evan's like, no, then we stop. And then vice versa as well. If one of us tries to do something that isn't always the best, we do it as a team. So even if we do something not the best idea, as long as we're a team, we'll excel. And I think that's really good in Smite.
Yes, if you want to add on to, Evan?
Yes. Echoing on top of it, me and Cactus are both the main objective shot callers. We'll call T2s, we'll call objectives, all that. Koala and Optic are really good double checkers. Because sometimes when you're dead or you're just kind of walking around, you're not getting the full picture. So when you're in the moment, you are an ADC who knows your damage. Having Koala or someone there who's like, and if I'm thinking, let's go fire, and he goes, no, we kill Phoenix, that's it. You listen to the call right then and there. And it's really, really good for comms to have someone like that who's just able to say, no, we're doing this, and trust them wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it's kind of undervalued. Not many teams actually have that because a lot of times people kind of see that. They see it less as, like you said, having the extra vision and kind of the zoomed out view, and they see it more as somebody trying to like take over the comms or whatever, and ends up actually being seen in a negative aspect when really it can be so useful. So it's important to have that. So who's I mean, you're coming up in a best of 5. That best of 5 means you could go to 5 games, and that's a long time. But not just looking at best of 5, just kind of in general. So who's the person who kind of like rounds up the emotions? Who's the one who keeps the tilt in check?
Definitely not me. I could say that.
But, yeah, you're a bit of a tilter, huh?
I get a little bit sassy.
It's an ADC thing, I think.
Yeah, definitely is. But I'd say if I ever get sassy, Evan always likes to keep me in check, and so does Cactus. Those two are very level-head. Dog is also super chill. So it's kind of good, because then if I do get sassy, though.
And Trap Bunny was pretty fun. I played a scrim, actually, with Trap Bunny. First time I ever even played in a scrim, because they were trying to do one for Challenger. And I was surprised how much fun he was having with his calls. That kind of surprised me. It felt less like because I play with a lot of the casters, and some of them also play, and a lot of comms you hear are always the hardcore, like the El Leon type of ridiculous calls, like I'm on this person, we go here, and traps are fun. So
yeah, no, he definitely enjoys the game in his role.
Yeah,
which
I don't
makes
really
it
want to
a
repeat
lot...
too many of them, but because Nuka might kill me, but they were fun.
Yeah.
Especially because I was playing ADC and he kept putting pressure on the lane, and at one point he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna come over there. Oh, you're getting ganked. Oh, you killed them both. Sick." That gassed me up more than any comm I've ever heard in my entire life. So, all right, let's round it up with a bit of fun. So, if you could pick, we'll start with you, Evan. I feel like because actually we'll go to you last because I feel like you're at the chaotic answer. We'll start with Koala. If you could pick one character from Smite, and I say character just in case you want to be a minion, and you could be them and live as them, like live their life, but have the access you do now, who would it be?
Ymir.
You cut out, Koala.
Ymir.
Oh, Ymir.
Yep. He's just, the strongest character in the game.
Okay.
You can play him anywhere, so he's very... And living...
Like a full,
it's very
full
hot.
tank
It's
Ymir, or like an
summer.
old school OG, like
hybrid.
face punch crit Ymir.
Definitely power. I mean, you build Poly on Ymir, what can't he do?
Exactly.
He can do ADC, mid, solo, and then you go to life. I can freeze people for several seconds, build walls.
Yeah, the walls.
Think about the versatility. Exactly.
Like corner
maybe an ice
corner of a
wall.
bar, I'm trying to mind my own business and people are annoying. Put a wall up. Ugh.
Exactly.
So
it'll be great.
So neat.
I could use it for law enforcement. I could do construction. What can't you do?
You can run things. All right, Evan. I'm sure you have the chaotic answer. So, what's yours?
Is there any world where Bacchus isn't just the right answer? You can live your entire life drunk and eating whatever you want.
Yeah, drunk, fat, and happy.
Drunk, fat, happy. You can just start breaking things and no one's gonna yell at you.
True.
Why would I ever not be Bacchus?
And there's a lot. If you think about it, if you think about Bacchus's skins, the talent there is very untapped. Painter, opera singer,
Elvis.
Yeah,
Elvis
he's
impersonator.
Elvis. He can be a hippie. He can be Santa. He can genuinely just be Santa Claus.
True.
But
and he can be a bear.
He cannot build a wall. That is.
He cannot build a wall.
Points. Yeah, you got us there. I kind of like the Bacchus answer though. But all right, with that, do you guys have any final things that you want to say? This is the last chance you've got before your matchup with Flourish, and everyone's excited for that one. I know it's one Dilo and I have been talking about every day, getting prepped for. So, would you guys have any final message?
I would just like to point out that my Anubis ADC gameplay was immaculate, regardless of what Jeffrey and those guys say.
The laser show was a little something.
The space it created was really invaluable.
If you add your minion damage to your player damage, it would have been a brazy set.
That's what I'm saying. But that's it. No. That's it for me.
All right, Evan, you're up.
Big shout out to Cactus for all the work he's put into this season. Again, he's working 40-hour work weeks, 60 hours, and he is still putting in the time, getting scrims set up. He is helping us communicate. He has been putting in God's work to make things happen. Again, I've been helping where I can, but he is still doing a majority of the work.
Super excited to see him in finals.
I am going to be very glad to have him just running people down on Ymir.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me, and I'm sure you got a lot of the same things to have some fun with from the other end with Flourish's interview with Dilo, so I can't wait to see how those line up. Thank you for taking time to talk to me. I genuinely wish you the best of luck. I cannot wait to cast this set. I'm very much looking forward to it. And there is more playoff commentary action, more Dilo-ness, Fisher-ness around the corner. Thank you for watching.
Hey guys, Weebsons here, or otherwise known as Locke, one of your LCs. Just wanted to say from me and all the LCs, thank you guys for all playing this season. We really enjoyed working with all of you. You guys gave us some great content, and we look forward to having you hopefully next season.
Hello, everyone. Hope you've been enjoying the rising action of Smite Draft League Season 2. I'm D-Lo, joined here by 3/6 of 1/2 of Divine Finals. Hailing from the Flourish family, we have the terrible trio Z-Tantalus, Deputy Lucky, also known as Craig, and Flippin' Ninjas, the mid, solo, and jungle, respectively. Z-Tan, Deputy Lucky, thanks for making your return to the booth. Ninjas, glad to have you here, man. How you all feeling?
Feeling good.
Outstanding.
Feeling great.
Glad to hear it, lads.
I'm
Again,
feeling
thank you very much. I'm outstanding, he says, man. Got elevated. I respect that. Thank you guys very much for making the time. I know y'all are busy people. Got a scrimmer coming up soon, just shows the level of dedication these players have to the game here, the love for it. So I'll try to make it snappy but fun. Z10, starting off with you, my friend. Can you capture for me how it felt when you saw the final Eclipse ban posted in the semifinals and it was not Scylla? Tell me about it, man. Tell me about it.
Honestly, I was a little shocked at the bans. I don't think I've played an MLF in one of my worst nightmares.
You're a dream for him.
And I mean, yeah, that was pretty much what went through the comms. It was like, all right, I guess we're playing Scylla. Loving it. I love to play Scylla, man.
You made it look like a dream, buddy. I gotta tell you did great work on that for sure. So I'm glad you were able to play it. I know that's something that has definitely been denied to you plenty of times. So hey, man, if anything else, I'm glad you could say that I got to play my Scylla game. My Scylla
I did get to bring the god into the playoffs. So
pack that off the bucket list, my friend. You made it. All right, continuing right along. So self-awareness, speaking of god selection, when it comes to god selection, self-awareness can be a factor that I think really separates a good player from a great player. How do you guys find yourselves individually and as a team balancing between picking for the meta and picking for comfort? Any one of you guys can begin to answer this. We can have all three contribute. Start it off.
I just pick what I want to play.
Elaborate, my friend. Elaborate. Come on now. What else you got?
If I feel like I want to play Serket, I'm playing Serket. If I want to play Kali, I'm playing Kali.
All right. Fair. I mean, hey, Serket worked out for you pretty well as well. So is there a certain style that you generally like to go for then when it comes to what I like to play? What does Flippin' Ninjas like to play?
Yeah, something that can run at the back line and not die.
That's a pretty good way to go about it, man. Certainly was holding successful in that semifinal set. All right, the rest of you guys then. Cool. Hold on, Craig. I know you, man. I know what you're gonna say, but go on. Tell the audience anyway.
I just pick whatever I want.
Man, y'all really are a team on the same wave.
Not even a joke. Absolutely. It's just like I open up I don't care what the enemy team plays. I really don't. I don't have their drafts affect what I'm gonna pick. I open up a tab and I go, wow, this god looks good here, and then I'll tell my team, hey, I'm probably gonna pick this pick. And then out of nowhere, sometimes I switch it up and I'm like, actually, I want to play this, and then it's completely out of left field, and they'll just let me do it.
Yeah, that's
enough. Right. I mean, but I feel like most of the time, does it not fall into two categories of Nike and Yorm?
No, I've played some wild.
Ludicrous.
Yeah.
Don't lie to me. We saw you play Nike 2 games in a row.
I only played Nike once.
Game 2, I actually suggested he play Yorm. He said, no.
What's insane, man? Can't believe you. The audience is truly let down by this.
Sometimes it just depends on what people pick, and then I just decide on that. If I see certain picks that they pick, and then I just look at the gods and I just see what our team has, and I just decide on what our team needs for me to do. Whether they need me to just be the one that zones people or be the one that gets everything blown on top of me. It just depends.
Fair enough. Z10 in that case, anything to speak of when it comes to your balance of how do I choose between comfort and meta?
I'm fortunate enough to be playing mid in the current meta, in which just given the build that's being used right now, pretty much anything will function if you can play it. But of course, in the picks and bans phase, you end up with these moments where you're like, all right, so they've got a Daji. Maybe I'd rather not play the Merlin or Agni here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But for the most part, we really do just kind of pick whatever we want and run with it.
You guys make it run pretty well, gotta say. Can't really criticize a strategy like that if it's gotten you all the way up to here. Thank you guys very much for your answers on that one. So this one I got just for you ninjas, buddy. Ninja, you had a dominant start game 2 in your semifinal set against Eclipse. 6 kills, sub 13 minutes before they could even hit you with a speed bump. It was crazy. Do you relish those high pressure games where every gank goes into your pockets and it's up to you to carry the game damage wise? Or do you prefer the games with a bit lower pressure where you bolster the rest of the team by spreading those kills out a bunch around all the lanes?
Oh, pressure all the way.
Pressure all the way, you say? So you like to have it all on your shoulders?
I get in there. I get active.
That's respectable, man. Make it work. Once again, making it work. That certainly was what we saw game 2. Definitely showed that you're worth your salt, my friend. All right, continuing right along then. So talking about that game and that set in general, what key lessons did you guys learn when reviewing that VOD of your semifinal set against Eclipse? What were you guys saying? Okay, we need to maybe work on that. Maybe we did that really well, particularly. What did you guys in general talk about in the drawing board after that set?
It's always the same thing. My team
Which
doesn't
is?
listen to what I tell them.
Yeah.
When I tell them,
Whoa!
when I tell them to fight, sometimes they just like forget that and they want to leash an objective and then it gets stolen. It's honestly that's our only ever like little mistake is we don't full commit to it.
Is that the result of of Eclipse getting that EFG in game 2?
It was one fire giant.
It was one fire. Hey, I will say that was an impactful fire giant though. That was
It delayed the
y'all
game
were
by
a bit
another
against the ropes
10
there.
minutes.
But was that what the comms looked like? Craig just being like, "I told you, I told you, I told you." Was it that?
Oh, it was. I can't wait to watch this VOD back.
It was the comms go this way. I go, dude. I go, fight these fools. We're gonna kill them and then we'll end the game. And then I turn around after zoning the 2 people and the Ganesha throwing his ult. I'm like, how did the fire get stolen? And everyone's like, I don't know. And I was like, dude, someone was leashing it. And then
my man Nova was in the Desmond above still on that, John.
We don't even watch the game back. I remember I saw the VOD was there and I went to the specific part and I go, all of you guys were on the fire giant. That was it. It was like you guys.
Hey, look, I take my lessons from Shaggy in the early '90s, dog. Like it wasn't me.
Hey, I like that. Gonna have to doubt about it. Every gamer's excuse, but it's a solid one. It's the tried and true, right? In that case, so we'll move on.
It wasn't you.
We'll move on to Z10 and Ninjas then. In that case, you guys individually, anything you guys saw in there that you really wanted to give commendations to your own team for, or maybe something you guys said we were a bit lacking in this category?
I mean, I think as a whole, Frontline doesn't get quite the credit that they should sometimes, because a lot of times casting and a lot of times looking back at stuff, a lot of the focus goes onto the kills. A lot of the focus goes onto the action. Like the game that Lucky played, Cucullin, just an absolute clinic. I watched the man fighting 3 and 4 people, taking squishies down to half health, while Nobo and I are just safely chipping it away at a tower.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just a repeated performance. So my shout outs personally go typically to like my supports and my solo. Those like as a carry, as a mage, I don't do shit without my front line.
Some humble respects there being paid to the front line. Red Pepper had some clean riptides there, causing absolute mayhem.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm. No, they were like, you guys were like tossing them back. I remember at one point, like Hubwall was trying to like rotate, just skirt past it, got sucked right back in the middle, thrown back in. You guys dominated instantly. Definitely some amazing play. No, much credit must be thrown over there to Deputy Lucky as well.
He has done a lot of practicing in support over the season.
He's come a extremely long way since. I forgot what team I was on that I got drafted 3rd overall on, but he was on there with me.
Wow.
And he's such a long, like that, whatever they were called. From that point to like now, he's definitely improved as a player. He's definitely the most improved player that I've seen in a while.
That's awesome. It's always good to see development.
Yeah, like
always good to see that ceiling being reached.
Yeah, trust me, him learning to use those riptides resulted in a few teammates' deaths over the course of some practices, but
I've seen that as well happen across this playoff. That is, God, nothing is worse than seeing that, bro, because that just
I
feels
have
so
been
bad.
yeeted into more than one fucking ult, and it's not fun.
I can imagine. We'll pour one out for the lives lost there.
He's come a long way, man. We're proud of him.
Much kudos there being thrown to my friend Red Pepper, even though he can't be here. We appreciate all you've done in service of your team, brother. Alrighty, carrying right on then. So, this one I got for you, Craig, Deputy Lucky. After your last interview, you openly discussed your love of Yorm. Will it be sweeter or more painful to be pit up against fellow Yorm enthusiast Evan, who we saw taken in the mid lane against Weeb Waifus?
I don't know. I'm the best Yorm player in the league. I'm the only person that's ever had Yorm banned, so I'm definitely the best one. But I don't plan on playing that god. He's
I don't know. Evan was kind of making it look kind of crispy. Not gonna lie. We'll have to see how that goes out. Evan, just saying, bro. Yorm, they're doubting it. They're doubting the Yorm, Evan.
Evan won't get away with a Yorm mid into me.
Oh, okay. All right. I like that attitude there, my friend. Fair enough. Continuing right along. So, an interesting undercurrent storyline to your team's entire career has been little known fact that, well, I imagine known to you guys, maybe not to the rest of the Discord, that Zetan, you plan on hanging up the Rod of Tahuti after finals, leaving the mortal coil of players to join us casters. Zetan, knowing it's now or never, how has that affected your mindset throughout the season?
I had planned to kind of hang it up after the last season, and a couple of folks, mentioned wanting me to play. Maybe I should come back, and some things with the new job I was going to be taking didn't quite pan out, so I came back for the second one. But I will definitely be going away after the third one. I don't know, man. I just try to play the same way I've always played. I try not to leave too many things unsaid or hanging out there. Like, I play my best every game, give it everything I got.
All cards on the table. I respect that, man. It'll be good to be desking alongside, though. I definitely look forward to that. I'm sure, though, Craig and Ninjas are gonna be feeling your lack of presence there on the battlefield, my friend. But glad you get to have one last draw.
Feeling my lack of secured objectives.
Maybe Craig might have some misgivings about that one, but you're still valued nonetheless, and a key supporting member of the team.
I may be number one in a few stats, but missed secures on FGs, I've got to be number one too.
You got to be number one somewhere, buddy. Hey, it's still a gold medal in your pocket. Doesn't matter where it is, okay? You're a winner in my heart. Alrighty, continuing right along then. So when it comes to, everything like the team chats of what goes on in Divine Flourish, the behind the scenes, the culture of Divine Flourish, what do you guys think is a unique element that your team brings to the table? Uh-oh.
I feel like I'm the life of the
culture?
party.
What'd you say?
Like, I feel like I'm the life of the party for our culture. Like, I keep us
nice.
Like, we never have it like too serious because I always like joke around and stuff like that. So like, I feel like we're pretty easygoing. Like, we're easygoing group. So I'm usually joking around. Flippin gets upset, then I call him ugly, and then it's all good.
Ninjas, can you attest? This is the
No,
process.
This is all
the cycle?
true. Yeah.
Except for the part where Ninjas ugly. Ninjas is, we can all attest, very handsome lad. Obviously, you can tell by the avatar, looking spry. So no, that's
we never like it's never like the moments, or like even if like we're down and out or whatever. Like a game could be looking like we're down bad. Like I'm usually just joking around, like telling the team like, "Hey, don't trip. Like we got this," and like we're just like joking around, like, and usually we come back and win.
It's good to have that tempo, man. I mean, certainly you guys have not really looked up too far against the ropes so far this season, so can't be said there's been many opportunities where you needed to do that, but it's always good to have that person who can serve as, the emotional anchor of the team, make sure that they're keeping everyone lighthearted and cheerful as you guys, saunter your way on into the finals. Which, speaking of, it is the final countdown after all, lads. The only thing that's in your way of this photo finish are the formidable forces of Sunbreakers. Anything you guys can say without giving away too much when it comes to tactics rattling around the old noodle, just things that are on the brain.
I don't even know what I'm going to play in that set yet. I don't even know what time our game is. Honestly, I have no idea.
You might want to. I'm not gonna lie, buddy. You want to figure that one out. That's kind of important. we've seen games dropped for less, so you gotta. You got to crack down on
I
the
don't
game time.
I don't think we have any crazy game plan. I think we're just gonna kind of, because it's a best of 5. You kind of just, the first game you kind of is like just a show it type of thing, see what they're all about, and then after that you kind of adjust as the set goes.
Ninjas Heisenberg, Ninjas Z-Tan, the danger. Anything to add to that? Ninjas, I'll start with you.
Oh yeah, tell Evan to get ready. I'm diving him off cooldown.
Okay, you know what? That might be what you guys need, because Evan is certainly one of the premier threats when it comes to the Sunbreakers comp. Z-Tan, anything to add there?
Nah, man. Honestly, Craig pretty much hit the nail on the head. You know, when you're a best of 3 is a little bit different than a best of 5. When you go into a best of 5, the first game is definitely a kind of testing the waters thing. See what's working, see what's happening, see who's having a good day, who's having a bad day, and then you readjust and go back in for the game 2 with a plan.
That's an interesting thing to think about, though, the dichotomy between what you guys have obviously and everyone else in the season has been playing so far as sets of 3. Does the best of 5, do you guys think your easygoing nature as a team, as a comp, best suits that kind of longer endurance method of play when it comes to the set best of 5, or do you guys think you're more suited for the quick burst engagements, the best of 3s?
Best of 5s are fun. KWM's been down 2-0 in one finals, and we'll just do it again.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean we've got some pretty serious like experience on the team. We've also got some folks that don't have as much comp experience. But you know, the best of 5s can be a little more mentally draining, especially when they start heading towards the games 4, game 5s.
I think that's an underrated aspect of it for sure.
But you know, we've at least 3 of us, you know, we've been here before.
Gotcha.
We've played in these best of 5s. We've done this here and there. Like we got it down.
What do you guys think is the key then to keeping that center when it comes to your endurance? How do you make sure you don't get too burnt out before the timer ends up at the end of game 5? How do you guys make sure you stay in there?
Just depends on how much you want to win.
Make sure you get your stretches in between games.
Hey, there it is. Gamer health on the physical side and the mental side, both important, man. They're all linked. That's respectable means. Craig, what'd you say, buddy?
It's just like normal sports. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You just keep pushing along. That's really all.
Yeah, that's a fair point, man. Yeah, esports are sports after all. Got it in the name. Despite what everyone else might think. Very, very appreciative of those answers. That's a good way to think about it, because I don't think people really do think about, you know, they think, oh, great, more content, but I don't think about necessarily the toll that it can take to be playing that. That's a lot of Smite. It's a lot of Smite to be playing, bro. That's a lot of time to be spending in that chair looking at the computer screen. So I definitely understand that. All right. In that case, before we finish wrapping on up here, any last messages you guys have here for the audience, for people at home?
We 3-0, but we'll 3-1 if we're trolling.
All right. We'll see about that one. I'm gonna have to come back to you on that one there, Craig. They're a formidable force to go up against. I'm not so sure they're gonna be lining it over and just letting you guys take the 3-0. Any other messages there, Ninjas, Danilus?
Yeah, we're running it back like week 1.
Ooh, okay. Okay, Z-Tan, anything to punctuate it?
Nothing like that, dog. Nah, man. You know, Sunbreakers are a great team. Evan's a good dude. I'm just looking forward to the matchup, honestly.
I think everyone is, man. It's going to be a really good one. It's going to be amazing to see these players hit the field. The battle, really the clash of the Titans here is what it is for the Divine Division. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people had you guys on the ledger when it came to finals predictions, and to see that come to fruition, it's going to be a magic show up there, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys. But that being said, we're going to have to wrap it, not only for my sake, but for you guys as well, since you guys have a scrim coming up. I'm D-Lo, joined here by the lads of Divine Flourish, Z-Tan, Deputy Lucky, and Flippin' Ninjas. Thank you guys all very much for joining me, and best of luck in your finals run. We're all looking forward to it. For my people at home, thank you all for watching all our Smite Draft League content. Keep an eye to the sky for the Discord notifications of the Divine Finals stream. Anthony, Malum, and I will see you there. Catch you all later, everyone.
What's up, guys? Godlike Division League Coordinator Cub here wanted to say thank you from mine and all of the SDL staff's hearts to all of our participants and supporters of SDL Season 2 for making this the funnest and most competitive season yet. I hope to see you all in Season 3. Cub, out.
Hello and welcome everyone to the reason we've been playing all season. Time to see who will reign supreme of the SDL's dream teams. It's finals desk at dusk time, baby. Hope you've been live draft loving the final special so far. I'm D-Lo, joined here by the Spiff squad. We've got Phoenix, Kingfisher, and Anthony Malum looking full right now. We're here to check the stats, spit facts, put a bow on the season as it all finally comes to its grand conclusion. Lads, thanks for joining. How we all feeling?
Feeling great.
I
we're
think
feeling
Phoenix's
great.
suit is the best.
Yeah.
Phoenix's suit, man,
100%.
he's looking great. Is that Dolce & Gabbana, man? Is that Gucci? What is that? Where you gonna get
I
that?
got it at a discount store, man. I got it for about $100, but man, they told me it was made for me, so I bought it.
I have to agree. It really is form fitting. You're looking fly as hell in that thing. We're all looking great, and it's always about look good, feel good mentality. Got to bring our best here for these Smite Draft League Season 2 finals. So let's get right on into it. We're gonna talk some Divine to start it off, Jed. So, starting on with the first question. Over the Divine playoffs, we've seen some pretty unique tactics being employed, sometimes to great success, other times to spectacular failure. How do you know, as a player, when a strategy is sound, but it's just the execution that is flawed versus when the tactic itself needs to just be trashed altogether?
I guess I can go first real quick. The guy with the nicest suit on, of course.
Makes sense.
We've seen a lot of tactics coming out of the Divine. That's like a big thing that they've been trying to grow with, especially. And one of those tactics that has been failing throughout the entire season has been the fights over objectives. Has been very difficult for almost every single Divine team. The dance at Fire Giants and at Gold Furies at 10 minutes, sometimes a little bit later than that, do not look like something that a Godlike team would ever do. So this is something that I expect the entirety of the Divine division next season, or even in the end of this season, to possibly grow in a little bit. The objective targeting, especially with the team fight, maybe initiating that fight a bit faster and taking opportunities when they show themselves instead of trying to be so scared and back off of them. That's something I've been seeing from Divine, especially as a lot of the teams, especially in that entire division.
Fair opinion there, Phoenix. Thank you very much for that one. Kingfisher, Anthony Malum, any just cases where you guys see a strategy maybe that's like what Phoenix said, is maybe not being executed soundly, but you think there's potential there for it to be executed well. It's just that they maybe haven't found the secret Krabby Patty formula there yet.
I think there definitely is, and from like a player perspective, like when you're in the game, when you're running those strategies, there's like two really different feels, and we can see it on the desk sometimes when we're casting too. It's a little bit harder to tell, but most games you can either tell you got beat or you beat yourself. It's really one of those two, and I think that kind of distinction is like where it's really important between is it just a really bad comp or did we like not play up to potential?
Mm-hmm.
I think that kind of key difference is what like really stands out to me.
Yeah, I think another big thing too is you can definitely tell. A lot of times you hear when it comes to GM players for Godlike that they've kind of hit a skill cap and everyone's amazing. So where things start to differentiate is your decision making as a team, how you play around your team, the shot calling and things like that. It's less about the mechanical skill at that point. For Divine, I mean, they're certainly not low-ranked players, but they're nowhere near that cap. So you kind of have the combination of you're still perfecting those mechanics and you're working on team play, where a team like Sunbreakers has really stood out for me all season, has been that, like what Phoenix said, the dancing is minimal, because when they start dancing, somebody, I mean, now we know a lot of times it's Cactus calls, all right, we got to fight this. Let's just go fight. And I think that'll be a big difference. And the fact that Flourish does the same thing, where Flippin's like, all right, we're fighting. I'm tired of doing the dance. I think those things culminating in a matchup is so exciting.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see. Yeah, certainly not really one for the slow Samba. They're really looking to step on some toes. It's going to be exciting to see that come to fruition with here when it comes to that finals Divine game. So let's talk more about this matchup here specifically, because not the first time we've actually seen these teams square off, but it's been a while. Flourish took it convincingly over Sunbreakers week 1 in the regular season, 2-0 victory. What do you guys think, if anything, has changed since then that gives Sunbreakers that shot at the title this time?
I'll go first again. I think that Sunbreakers Evan on Marticris. I think that's a great pick, and looked really good in this last playoffs patch where he was. It felt really fluid where he was how he was playing it. It felt like it really worked well with his team. They were up against a really good team. Dark Omen was not an easy team to play against. And so I expect to see that they will try to pull out some of these same picks they pulled out in the previous, in the semifinals is what it would be for Divine. And especially the Marticarus and possibly even the Anubis again. The Anubis also looks pretty good. It was not as effective as the Marticarus, but it's still something you can throw in the mix to have some kind of magical damage that is just a lot of really fast damage. And then have your penetrative Marticarus come out of nowhere, which sounds a little weird when I said it like that, but you get the
You're
idea,
good, bro.
because
Don't worry, we all know
really
what you
builds
meant
crit.
there.
He really builds crit. But yes, I'm excited to see what Evan can bring to the table, especially against Flourish this season, this playoffs.
For sure. Fisher, Anthony Malm, anything to add there?
I think the fact that Flourish won it in week 1, like to me at least, doesn't really hold a lot of value. It's the first week; those guys had maybe a scrim together to get chemistry online. Not a lot of strats developed, and I mean, I still think Flourish are a strong team. I think they can absolutely take it. But I think Sunbreakers also, since that loss, like as the season progressed, and I think in playoffs especially, have just looked so much more confident in like everything that they do, and I think that's been a big change for them over the season. So, and it's a best of 5. It can't be another 2-0 technically. So, you know, it got to be something new.
I think
a
what
3-0,
I'll add
perhaps.
on is that Sunbreakers, like everyone's mentioned, they said it even in their interviews that the number one reason that they feel like they lost to Flourish was that they had no team synergy. The calls were still awkward. They were still feeling each other out. And I think a big addition that the further and further Sunbreakers has gotten, we kind of have forgotten about, is Trap Bunny and what that has brought to the jungle. Because Giant Dog is playing his third role when he plays jungle, and his support is great. And Trap Bunny, we saw they brought him in game 2 like it was a secret weapon. I mean, you can say what you want about the Anubis ADC and, you know, how things got a little off the rails, but the reality of the game was that Trap Bunny and Evan combined and carried the game, and they carried it hard. And in the same essence, though, I will mention with Flourish, something that kind of goes under the radar with them is that Nobo has not been their ADC. He was a late addition, and what he brings to them is huge because they lost a really good ADC when they lost Volcha. So being able to step into that role and still provide the same thing, because I don't think Zetan was going back to ADC. Their substitute Blur is another solo main, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Believe so.
It would have been really rough for them to have no ADC. So what Nobo's been able to do and what he's playing up to could be huge. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a surprising story of the set maybe being if Nobo's playing way above level in the pressure moment.
Absolutely, and it's worth noting about these comps. So if we just talk about the comparison when it comes to the journey that these two teams have taken in terms of the players they've picked up, or maybe had not had to pick up along the way, must be noted that Sunbreakers has been together, same lads, week 1. Flourish, on the other hand, has been assembled a bit throughout the season. Big acquisitions very early on, and then, of course, the likes of Nobu Fish, as Anthony mentioned, joining late in the season. In what elements or moments of the game do you guys think long-standing chemistry is just something that can't be beat in comparison to maybe technical mastery? Where does it maybe not measure up? Where the execution, precision, being able to hit skill shots just doesn't measure up to the simple fact that we've been playing together for longer?
I guess I'm the first to the door again. I think it's going to be the exact same thing in Divine, as I said earlier in the first question that you asked, which is kind of where do people fall through and stuff like that. Objectives. I think that as a team, if you've been playing together as 5 people for a long time, shot calls are going to be so much more fluid and so much more off the tongue, and also not going to be questioned by anyone. They have faith, and I don't know who exactly the caller is on Flourish right now because we don't really know. I literally asked them in our interview. I said, "Who's the person that's like shot calling?" They kind of said all of us, and I was like, "Okay, probably not what you want to be saying going into this final week here. You probably want to be saying, oh, Red Pepper." Obviously, he's going to be a shot caller, the support. Or, Noble joined the team and he has a really big voice. But Noble had a really big voice on my Challenger team. He was the shot caller. And so he joined this team of a little more experienced players, not Challenger level players, now Divine level players. And I think that they're all kind of trying to still learn each other. And this is only, this is the end of the season. This is it. And so
We're
they're
here.
still trying to
Final countdown.
And so the truth is that you are correct to ask this kind of question because it might be in jeopardy for Flourish right now if they can't find that one voice that can make that call, because I know for a fact that the other team on the other side of the Sunbreakers has that shot caller right now. We all know that. We all know who it is as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'll jump in second this time. What Phoenix said, that's exactly where it's going to happen. It's going to be that we're in a best of 5. Say it goes to game 5, and you're in game 5, you're 33 minutes in, one of the teams just took EFG, and you're doing the Phoenix dance. It's going to take that person that's saying, we're making the play happen. This next wave, we're going in. If we lose, we lose. And when they do that play, when they make that confident play, that is how you'll win. If you get to that same scenario and there's 5 people in comms, 3 are saying we should reset, 2 are saying let's go for the end, that's how you're going to fall apart. And that's what happened when we saw in Godlike with Dark Omen and Eclipse. They had that one bit of hesitation where Bean Soup Bob went in deep, and then the rest kind of trickled in. They lost their solo, and they fell apart completely, and Dark Omen was able to make the fantastic comeback and take the set.
And that's sometimes where 5 strong voices can be your downfall over 1 strong voice and everyone else. Followers have their place on a team for certain. It's not always bad to be a sheep if those sheep can follow you over to a victory, right? Shepherd them over to that. I think we've talked about all that needs to be spoken about on that question. So Fisher, I'm going to start with you on this question right now. Divine Finals, we all have one thought on everyone's mind. It's Ztan versus Evan TGW, baby. When we look at the two in a vacuum, you might say they're kind of mirror images of each other. 2 mids who we all expected to see maybe picked in Immortal Division, but were destined to instead spar off against each other in their respective Divine dynasties. If we zoom in, though, to each of these players, where do you think you see the differences that could spell triumph or tragedy for their laning matchups?
See, I think it's going to be a really, really boring lane, which is, I don't think, a word I've used with either of these 2 players.
Hey, man.
But they're both so good. They have so few weaknesses that in my mind, both of those teams are kind of going to be focusing on the other lanes. Like, they both have really competent ADCs. They both got good solo laners. I think a lot more focus is going to go on the sidelines because both those teams are just going to figure, our mid's better. They don't need ganks. They're just going to diff them. I think it's literally going to be a stalemate, and I can't wait to get proved wrong, 10 minutes into match 1.
I think that's where it could be problematic, actually, because I think you're right. Maybe the wording I'll use a bit different, but I think you're right in that, because Evan actually mentioned that one of Sunbreakers' mentalities that's kind of risen up as they play together is everyone kind of focuses and worries like, oh, what's Evan going to do to us? How is Evan going to torture us? What can we do to stop Evan? And meanwhile, you have Koala kind of going burr. And that's before you even talk about what Optic can do. Trap Bunny is insane. And if you put too much pressure in mid, it's a problem. So I think Sunbreakers having the attitude there for that and being prepared for is a problem. And Evan can be a hard carry mid, but Evan can also kind of match his team and synergize. I think Ztan is a opportunist, and I mean that in a really good way. Look at every great play you've ever seen Ztan make, and it's always a smart play. It's kind of sitting back and finding your moment. You can look back to Season 1 and even look at this Penta. He gets to the fight significantly late, takes the risky call to go in, but makes the play work. And I think that and this kind of goes back to actually the last question when what Phoenix was talking about. If Ztan makes plays like that, but there's no communication, when on the other side, if Evan is kind of just anchoring the team down with damage, and they're communicating, I think late game, that's where we're going to see the big difference if there is one.
For sure. It's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, I know it's everyone's lips, what's going to happen with that matchup. I think there's certainly possibility for it to end up being that stalemate that Kingfisher mentioned. But also, I don't know, like Anthony mentioned, it's a trap that many people have fallen for before where they say, what are they going to do in the mid lane? So it's going to come down to, will history repeat itself again, or will they decide to take a different path, break the cycle maybe, and maybe that will be the key to their victory over there on Flourish. But I have to only one way to find out. There's to wait and see there. I'm definitely looking forward to peering into that mid matchup when we commentate that one. All right, finishing on with the questions here. Looking at the arcs of these 2 teams. I'm going to start with you here this time, Phoenix. Looking at the arcs of these 2 teams, their narratives. You have Ztan looking to hang up the jersey, hang up the Ratatouille after this season ends, join us as casters, ascend to the the high ranks of the production team. And then you also have, Evan, who a lot of people felt was passed over when it came to the Immortal picks, thinks that they much deserved higher spot. Who do you think is hungrier for this win between these 2 teams?
It's going to be hard to say, in all honesty. If Flourish, I would say that Flourish has had a much harder, even though they are the best team or whatever you want to call it, right? They're one of the best teams up here. So they've made it to this spot. But as we were talking about with the teams, like who's had the most consistent team, who's had the same 5 members throughout the entire season, Flourish has indeed not had the same team throughout the entire season. They've had a couple of weeks where they didn't have an ADC at all when they had to use their sub for a couple times. And then they got Noble Fish in the last 2 regular season weeks and then had him throughout the playoffs, which is great. And they won games and they did really well. But you just said the 2 names of the 2 mids. You said Zitan and Evan, right? If I were just to say those 2 alone, I would want to see Zitan win this game, and I think he might be hungrier. Okay? That's my honest answer. But as far as a team goes, I think that Sunbreakers are going to be a hungrier team because they've had this crew together this entire year. They probably are like brothers now or whoever, I don't want to put everyone as guys in the same.
Yeah, you got it.
Lads and ladies, they're all friends now. This team is not going to be the end of their relationship and their friendship. And so I expect that they're probably going to this game 5 of the same thinking heads, and they're ready to beat Flourish. And so I really hope that they're hungry for it as well, if that's how their attitude is going to be.
Maybe the real Smite Draft League finals are the friends we made along the way. That's,
Yeah.
that's what Phoenix is saying here. But no, you're absolutely right. Having that kinship that a team forms over that amount of time, it's going to feel different than when you pick up new people along the way. No disrespect to Noble, of course, because Noble seems hungry. Noble absolutely has made a splash upon entering the league. But it's just not going to be necessarily the same when you have that history, which, you've been through those ups, you've been through those downs together as the Sunbreakers. You know each other's ins and outs. So I think that definitely could have an impact there.
Today is May the 4th. I'm going to say this real quick. Today is May the 4th, so it's like Star Wars Day or whatever you want to call it.
Of course,
so,
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, if it was... Imagine
700.
if it was just if Phantom Menace and Clone Wars Attack of the Clones were not movies and it was just Revenge of the Sith, which is the movie where everything happens.
Sure.
That's how it kind of feels for Flourish. It's kind of just
Bro,
like
you're spoiling.
What happens? I didn't say what happens in the third
What
one.
the heck, bro?
I didn't say what happens in it.
All right, that's true. All right, you got it.
I'll pass it off to Anthony or Keen to give their ideas.
I'm kind of itching, so like if you're gonna go to us all, go to Fisher first.
Go
you got it, Fisher.
Well, first off, how dare you spoil a 20-year-old movie? That's absolutely
Party foul,
barbaric.
bro. Now he's gonna get canned in the entire video.
Sin.
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely kind of agree with Phoenix's logic where I think Zitan is the single hungriest player probably in the league, like across all the divisions for this win. I think as a whole, though, I don't know. I mean, I think Sunbreakers just play with a lot more tenacity, a lot more kind of explosiveness. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with wanting to win, doing whatever it takes. Like, in no means discounting Flourish. I'm sure they all want it really badly, too. I mean, Divine Finals literally couldn't have matched up any better. I think I'd have to give it to Sunbreakers, but it's minimal differences.
Okay, so
Anthony.
for me, I'm itching for this because, I've cast so many games, Season 1 and Season 2, and Zitan was a part of Season 1, and I could go on and on with their storylines, but the big pieces for me are most of the casting team, and, Season 1 Challenger Finals at the time, fantastic set, crazy how we got there. But Harbingers dominated the season to get knocked out by a team that was put together last second and had some controversy, unfortunately. Zitan was the captain of Harbingers, and they had an amazing season, and it's really disappointing how their season ended. It didn't feel right at the time. And then you come into this season, Zitan goes to a different role after not retiring and making it happen in mid, and they're put together. Let's go to Sunbreakers. And let's start with Cactus Arms. Got dropped right before, I think it was right before semifinals. Got dropped from his team. That is so rough. I mean, he was a big part of it going in and gets dropped, doesn't get to participate. Huge chip on his shoulder. Evan, we didn't actually ever release these. We released the caster predictions, so I think we stopped doing it by Godlike, or maybe it was by Immortal, I forget. But for the first draft, which was Godlike, the casters picked players who they thought should have gone in Godlike. I picked Evan and felt very confident about my pick because of what we saw in Scouting Grounds with the Soul, and given that he was on the higher ranked. So the fact that Evan ended up in Divine, and then we've got this matchup between the Season 1 vet, hungry for revenge, against the new to competitive mid laner, new to ranked somehow, and Evan, adding in the flavor of Cactus. Then you've got the 2 challenger players, Trap Bunny and Nobo, meeting, which is crazy. The entire thing is, I mean, each division has some kind of crazy storyline. With Immortal, obviously, there's a lot of, it's very tense right now. I'm sure Phoenix will go crazy about Immortal. and
I
things, and the pressure's ready to break in Immortal. And Godlike, it's Teddy versus Rat Milk. I mean, that's the heavyweight boxing fight that you dream of for a finals scenario. But I think they're both equally hungry. I think at the end of the day, it'll be whoever treats it the most special. Whoever turns all that hunger and all that drive into not just a storyline for us to talk about, but into actual gameplay that we see. Whoever does that, that's who will come out on top.
For sure, a lot of things to prove there. Thank you, Anthony, for giving us the context there, the Smite Draft League lore, because that really shows that each person has a story to bring to this. Every person is not leaving any cards off the table. All their hands are being played at this point. All the chips are on, man, for all the marbles here. Got to get into it. Got to put everything you can into this game. So let's stop with the interrogation. Enough of that. Let's get into our caster predictions here for Divine Finals, Sunbreakers versus Flourish set. I'm going to count us down from 3. Everyone's going to say the team name they're thinking about. So have it rattled in. And he's got a pen in his mouth, bro. He's got to silence himself. He wants to say it so bad.
This is so hard.
3,
tough.
2, 1.
Sunbreakers.
Sunbreakers with the unanimous call
so
there.
hard.
I'm going to call my friend Fisher. Fisher, I'd like you to tell me why you guys think that as the representative.
So I think I don't know. In my mind,
Anthony's
Flourish
in tears right now, bro.
I don't blame him. I mean, in my mind, Flourish, they deserve their #1 seed. They're one of the best teams in this division, but the way they play is like so consistent that I'm worried if they start getting behind, because they haven't really been in that position at any point in the season. I'm worried if they get behind in a long set, they've all got pressure built up in their minds, then Sunbreakers are going to kind of roll with that. And what we've seen from the Sunbreakers and their playstyle, it doesn't really give me that concern as much. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if Flourish took it. I mean, easily, I think the top 2 teams in Divine for a reason. Either of them both deserve to win this game.
It happened once. I'm sorry, it happened once.
No, please.
And if it happens again on a grand scale, I think they're doomed. You and I were on the game together. They made a huge mistake in game 2 of a set. They chose to contest Fire Giant with no Phoenixes up. They let 3 waves of fire minions walk into their Titan, and then zoinked, backdoored them as Mercury. It was one mistake, and it's in a game 2. But in that game, I remember us talking about they never play from behind. And they made a risky call, and they won the fight of fire. They got Fire Giant, and they lost the game because of the mistake. You make any kind of mistake even on par with that against Sunbreakers, and it's chalked.
Pride cometh before the fall. There's value in losing. No one wants to lose, but there absolutely is value in learning from your mistakes, understanding what it means to play on that back foot, because there's times where you just are going to be in that scenario. You need to be prepared for those worst cases, because if you're only prepared to win, you're not going to know what to do when you're 3 kills down, 1,000 gold down to start off the game. You're not going to know how to regain the momentum. So it's going to be up to Flourish to see if they can make sure they're masters of both sides, offense and defense, to ward off the forces of Sunbreakers. But that being said, we're out of time to dig into Divine. We're going to see you guys in a moment to chat about some Immortal. Welcome on back, everyone. Hope we didn't keep you waiting too long there. Welcome back to the Desk at Dusk here, Finals Edition. Here we're talking about some Immortal stuff. We still got the same peeps here. I'm D'Lo, joined here by Anthony Malum, Phoenix, and King Fisher. Guys, without further ado, let's get right on into it. So, we got a lot to talk about. Finals across all the divisions will be, as we mentioned before, a best of 5 games instead of the typical 3. How do you guys think that impacts the strategic and mental aspects of the game for these players?
Mentals are a great question. King, go.
Oh, sorry. I was going to start off with just one short thing about strategic, because I think a couple people mentioned this in interviews, actually, and you see it pretty commonly with best of 5. You can't really do this in the best of 3, but you can treat that first game, that first loss, like kind of a test. You don't go on to match point. You can try out a weird strategy. You can put pressure onto a different lane, like do a different pace, see what works. You can't really do that in a best of 3, or you're on the back foot immediately. You got a little leeway if you do that, and then I think the mental aspects goes without being said, but I think Phoenix, you were about to talk about that.
Yeah, the mental aspect is the most important part of this, I think, game entirely. I'll name 2 names that we know are very, how do I say it, mental players. It's all about how their mental is, and where they are depends on how their gameplay looks on the battlefield. Those 2 players are on Kingslayers. Ebo was taken. has always been a big decider for he's been on 3 different teams this season. He's been traded twice. And every single time, it's always been about where is Iba's mental on this team. We finally have a team where he's in the playoffs now. He's in the finals. He's here. So Iba is now in a perfect position with a more than perfect team. Funny enough, with a support that he was on the previous team with Dark NMS and Mario 21 and those members, Lucent Colors got traded to a team as well as Iba got traded to that team, which was Kingslayers. And so they actually kind of follow each other, funny enough, support and jungle. But it's a really interesting story with Kingslayers because they're kind of a team that actually was made up in the last, I would say, 3 weeks of the regular season. So this is another situation of, if you watch the Divine,
Frankenstein team.
yeah, they're kind of a put together team. The only consistent player has been Zombie Billy Mays in solo, Darkseth in mid, and Uller One Trick or Ramley CEO, or I believe they have changed their name one more time again. But the wonderful captain of their team, in all honesty, Uller One Trick. And this team is all about the jungler. Iba was taken. That's who I want to think about here. And then on the opposite side, one of my great friends, Remarkable Wolf, and a friend of this Discord, he's well known as Rama Wolf. He is a mental player. If he does not do well mentally, he listens to Post Malone before he plays. He mutes and shuts off his headphones. He sits there, jams his headphones. I'll call him sometimes when I'm just going home from a drive or something like that, and I'll say, "Hey, what's up, Remarkable?" And I'll hear him. He's just like, "Hey, man, I'm about to play a game," and he's like he's like Michael Jordan right before the playoffs. It's like, goodness gracious, that's a crazy guy. He has something to prove in this game, and I'm super excited for what he can show against Kingslayers, because this is a matchup that we once again kind of expected, but kind of didn't expect throughout the entire season, because this once again is a different team on Kingslayers. But Remarkable Wolf being the last pick of the entire draft for Immortal, and now being here. And hopefully that mental that we're talking about, that you asked about, can stay in the right spot the entire time. Same goes for Iba on Kingslayers. Those are the 2 players I'm thinking about when it comes to mentals.
All right. Thank you very much, both of you guys, for that one. Anthony, I might have a little mini follow-up question for you, because I think we've talked about just as much as we could for that bit of the question. But when it comes to the difference between the divisions, or maybe even just the teams, we want to get hyper-specific, who benefits and is disadvantaged more by this format change when it comes to the 3 games to 5 game sets? Do we think that we see Immortal benefits more from that over Divine, or maybe Godlike benefits more from that over Immortal, or just between these 2 teams, maybe you think that one team benefits more overall because of maybe the symptoms that the mental game that Phoenix maybe went to depth about? Can you please expound on that?
There's kind of 2 routes I could go with it. I'm going to go the least complicated answer that I can think of, and honestly,
Sure.
It might seem silly simple, but
Simple's
I
good.
think that the division and the team that benefits the most is probably Immortal Sunbreakers, because in a best of 5, so okay, and ironically, there's 2 people, 1 on each team, that I've always talked about this with. When you have to ban a character because of the person, when you have to target ban something, and that something is not necessarily a top ban or a top pick, it hurts you because you have to surrender a ban for it. And right now, there's so many strong things that are meta. And for both Sunbreakers and Kingslayers, there are characters that you could target ban. There is Lucent's Yamoja that I've been talking about in this league for 2 seasons to stop banning it because it's a trap. And everyone still bans it. And then Lucent picks Kepri and revives everybody. And for Sunbreakers, and this is why I think this is an advantage to them, there is Remarkable Wolf's Rama. If you're in a 5 game set, I would expect to see it banned game 1. Why wouldn't you? If there's something that Sunbreakers has that's becoming a problem, it has to be banned. And the easiest thing for a team to say, are we really sure we have to ban the Rama? For Remarkable Wolf, I think it's a different scenario than Lucent. And this is no disrespect. I've been saying this for 2 seasons as well. There is a drop-off from Rama to the next character. It's not terrible, but there's a considerable difference to play against, and including for a mental. Because if you give up a character and then a guy goes 13-4 and gets triple kills in your fountain, but then the next character they go 6-5 and have top player damage, it feels like you're going against something different. In a best of 5, there's no way Rama's getting banned 5 games. It's not going to happen. It would be an actual waste, and that means Wolf will have Rama, which means Sunbreakers will have their trump card for at least, and probably more than, 1 game.
That's a really interesting point to bring up, that interplay there, because it's a question of, it's resource management. Managing your
Yeah.
picks and bans is such an important part of the game. I know it's only like, one fraction of the entire cast, but it's so important. It can decide games. Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see how people decide to play that long game. Do we decide to keep Is it worth it? Where do we put and allocate these picks and bans
Yeah, 'cause
towards?
that's
Do we
before you
try to
talk about Czar too.
Yes, the Tiamat, like Zar, she can take that thing anywhere. I mean, she can take gods and she could make a switch up happen. She's very malleable
With
as a
Eba, it's a
player.
bit better because Eba he plays a lot of meta picks, so you can be a
Mhm.
bit safer. There's the standout like Daji, which is certainly not meta, but he still performs well on. But you can at least you don't have to feel bad about banning a Bakasura.
Yes. And it's always nice when you can have that overlap between a meta god as well as a comfortable god for the enemy player. It feels bad when it's a god that you normally wouldn't ban, but you have to just because it's this player
Lucius
that plays.
Yamoja.
Lucius Yamoja. Feels bad to do. Might be the wrong choice. Might get you sent out of the finals. Gonna have to see what happens there. Thank you guys all for your answers on that one. Got really in depth on it. So let's talk a bit more just about one half of this finals equation. Immortal Sunbreakers. They're coming into this finals as the #1 seed. And I think any competitive team, esports or regular sports, can attest to the proverb that everyone loves you until you become competition. How do you think that their role, kind of as like the antagonist heel almost in wrestling, that is oftentimes the birthright, I'd say, of any dominant team, do you think that affects your mentality and gameplay that you know that you are the big bad Rama Wolf getting into the fight?
I'll go first because I know Phoenix is gonna have a lot to say on this one. I think from my perspective, not being friends with the majority of players, I'm friendly with all of them. I just am not super close with any players in particular. From the outside looking in, I almost think Sunbreakers kind of enjoys being the antagonist, whether they admit it or not. I think they kind of like being the big bad wolf, the bad guy, where they kind of almost like that Kingslayers. I mean, as Asian, their league coordinator says himself that Kingslayers is the fan favorite. I honestly think Sunbreakers likes that, and they kind of are going in, like you said, they're going in with that heel mentality. They are, the Rock is a heel walking into WrestleMania. They're kind of like, all right, let's go 3-0 them and break hearts. Like,
Their
I think
edge.
they enjoy that persona.
Interesting. Yeah, continuing. Fisher, do you have any thoughts before we go to Phoenix, who I know is going to be the main attraction here with his thoughts?
I just pass it right to Phoenix. I'm
He's
interested to
itching
see
for
what
it.
he
What
says.
you got,
Yeah,
Phoenix?
yeah.
Talk to us.
Yeah, there's plenty to say about Sunbreakers, especially the fact of just their team and who they are and stuff like that. These guys are, once again, I talked about Divine and being friends and stuff like that. I think that this is the truth for this team as well. These guys are in like 4 different Discords now, all on like AGL teams, and like they know each other's first names. That's the level in which these guys know each other. And so the fact that that like they are like the antagonist, the 3-0 Lakers. You can go through all sports if you want to. The Patriots, whatever sport team you want to be, the old time Celtics. So if you want to be the big bag wolf in literally the fashion of Remarkable Wolf and this entire team, I think it's going to come down to, because there's one person on that team who is not the big bad wolf. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's the freaking captain of the team. Super Sereno has only been here for 1 match of the regular season, and then he came back for the playoffs. It is one of the most ironic things. I don't hate Super Sereno for it. He played Agni out of his mind after coming back.
That is fair. That is fair.
Oh yeah, he
Say
did.
what you will,
Enough-
but he does show up and press buttons.
Oh, he presses buttons and he does it very
Press
well.
button's
Whether his team, whether Tetri made big plays or whoever made big plays on that team. I mean, I'm already looking at it right here on my screen, and they hold on to this big bad wolf thing. Remarkable Wolf told me once he was not picked in the top 10 of Immortal because he got his ego hurt, basically. He was like, I'm going to screw this division. I'm going to literally prove them so wrong. And so I was like,
Revenge
"All right,
arc."
bro." Yeah, I was like, all right, man, that's fine. Whatever you want to do, like, chill out. It's all good. But like,
Phoenix is
because
the angel on his shoulder.
I was not gonna be like, I literally was like, all right, prove it, kind of thing. I kind of tempted him because I know how
This man's
Remarkable
egging him
Wolf is.
on.
Yeah, I am.
Well, shit stir.
And I've interacted with a lot of these guys, and a lot of them
Mhm.
are they don't I don't know how to put this. It's not like so I would say like adapting. He's known for his certain type of team that he used to be on back in the day, and that goes for almost every single SPL pro player back in the previous seasons when you would have teams like Team Envious and the Smite Pro League. That's a long time ago, but they would rep those companies like no else. until it happened where that one kind of caused a problem and they didn't pay their employees.
They
We won't
all
bring that
had
up,
their
though.
personalities. Like Envious was kind of like the aggressive, like egotistical players. Eager was a bad guy. Energy was the EU demons. Yeah.
Yeah, and they all kind of, but they all
Everyone
enhanced
sounds
that.
mean.
They all grabbed onto that and
Exactly.
used that. But here's the thing: is that I was casting that game where Sunbreakers was playing, and I got DMs from 3 out of 5 players, and then in the chat here, they were all like, "He's the only one who represented us. He's the only one that did this." They are literally as a 5-man unit on this vengeance arc that Remarkable Wolf is on. I think Remarkable Wolf, even though he has that mental thing that might happen sometimes where he might go swing out because he doesn't get Rama or he doesn't get the picky ones or things are not going well, man, that guy can enhance people like no else, and it makes them very angry about things because they're without even doing it, they're kind of spitting on you guys, saying you guys didn't freaking trust in us and stuff like that, and they're telling me like, oh, you're our guy, and I do think the Sunbreakers are going to win this match. The spoilers.
Dang
there you
it!
go. That's my
just
again, bro.
Something
What's
I
with
want
Phoenix
to
spoiling
touch
things,
as an
bro?
aside because this has been so. With respect to amateur leagues as a whole, we have done something very different for this season for production as a whole. And I think we're all really proud of doing things very different. Something that's come along with that is more players than I think anyone would have expected. I'm not super surprised, but more players than you would have expected take a lot of stuff super personal. And at the end of the day, we're making a show. We're telling stories we're telling a story, whether your story is being the antagonist or being someone we harp on, being a team we harp on. We're telling a story and we're giving you a character arc so that we can fulfill your character arc because we know who's casting Immortal Finals now. It's D'Lo, Fisher, and Cosmic. But no matter who would have cast Immortal Finals, had I been there, had Phoenix been there, had Noob been there, if we tell the story the whole season that you're the antagonist, when you win, you're going to get a hell of a call about you've done it. You are the evil empire of the Immortal Division, and you've done the thing. So I love that players feel that way because for me, that tells me that we're actually doing something impactful, that they feel like they're a part of something different. So for every team that feels that way, I would say if you talk to us and we're not casting, we're probably going to love you. If you take what we say to heart, don't. But keep the arcs
all love,
up, especially for season 3. I want more arcs. I want all the vengeance arcs.
Yeah, they are playing into the story with us, is what's going on.
Yeah.
I think,
and
really
I want it
well.
to be hammed up even more. As long as at the end of the day, you know that we're here because we just want to cast your games.
I want to see Rama Wolf choke slam Phoenix into a table and hit him with a steel chair. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, why me though? It should be you guys. I'm the one that voted for him.
Look forward to that for season 3, bro. It's gonna go crazy. Phoenix is gonna get whacked with a steel chair in this crazy Hell in a Cell ladder cage match. It's gonna be great.
Kick you out of the league, I guess.
There it is, bro. Alrighty, continuing right along. Really glad we got into the mental game, even more so in the emotional aspect of this game, because again, all very important sides to the pyramid that forms our league. So, continuing right along here, each of these finals contender teams, and Fisher, I'm gonna start with you on this one. Each of these finals contenders teams has a member who is the quintessential player. You ready, Fisher? Get ready, buddy.
Yeah. I'm good.
They all have a member of the team who's a quintessential player when it comes to the Immortal Division for their role. On the side of Sunbreakers, you have their ADC, the villain, Remarkable Wolf, and on the side of Kingslayers, you have Lucent, the support. Which do you think is worse to face off against, in your opinion? A team with the support supreme or the one with the scariest carry?
I mean, I'm kind of gonna approach that in like a backwards way.
Sure.
If that makes sense, because when you look like those two players aside, just at like really good supports, really good ADCs.
In general, yes.
Yeah, in my mind, if you have a bad ADC, like in a game, not necessarily a bad player, but like they have a bad performance in the game, like they're still able to do their job. They do tower damage. You can win while having a bad performing ADC. You cannot win if your support is not having a good game. It's something that I haven't really seen done before. So I think in my mind, a team with like a really, really good support, it's kind of scary for the same reason, because you know they're never going to do really bad like that. Even if they're not outstanding every game, we're not going to see Lucent have a bad game. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think for my mind there, the team with the better support is definitely a little more nerve-wracking if I'm a player.
I mean,
I'm gonna toss
anyone
it over
can
to Anthony.
off roll into ADC. You know, it's like I say this as an ADC player, so I feel like I stand in a good spot to accept the hate. I think it's much easier for any player to, and I'm not saying they're gonna perform amazing, but you can hold it down. You know, you might get pushed back to your tier 2, you might not get a lot of farm, but you can hold it down. At the end of the game, you can left click and get a couple kills. And like Fisher said, you can get structure damage, you can help with objectives.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot off-roll support at a high level and do anything. You're going to be useless. You will... the best thing you could do in that scenario is be a meat shield. And even that you can't do because you'll fall behind 3 levels. You're level 12, their jungle's level 19, you're getting 2 hit. You do need that. I will say that where it gets interesting is if you start to consider, like Phoenix talked about, when you start to consider the jungle, the ADC matchup that we have, because Phoenix mentioned that Eba's been on a lot of different teams, that there's a secret of can you harness Eba, can you get him to play with you as a team? And I say that as being someone who hyped Eba up a lot. I expect, and I don't think this is a spoiler because I don't know, I'm just going to say what I would say if I was a part of Kingslayers. I'm going to expect that he's going to try to camp Remarkable Wolf. So as that matchup unfolds, as he's getting camped, how do they respond to that? Do they try to ego it and try to kill Eba for doing it? Or does Sunbreakers say, all right, let him do it, see if Wolf can survive, so on and so forth. So I think the jungle ADC matchup is a really important one to watch.
Certainly gonna have eyes there on the dual lane to see if it does come to pass. It will be Remarkable Wolf gets farmed up, or once again, will it be that he's gonna just blow the entire house on down? Make sure that's not an option there for Kingslayers to pull off. Gonna have to see. But that being said, we're gonna cut the chatter for right now. Question time is over. Let's get into our caster predictions here for Immortal Finals. Kingslayers versus Sunbreakers set. So once again, I'm gonna count you guys down from 3. Think it on over. I see everyone looking at the sky right now. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Sunbreakers.
Kingslayers. I am sticking with my because I think, I'm not mistaken, at the beginning of the season, my 2 predictions were Oathkeepers and Kingslayers. And Kingslayers went through a lot of changes, but the overall mindset stayed the same. They're a team that has mechanical skill, but they kind of just vibe. And I think that'd be a cool story because I do genuinely think that they're the underdog. I think that Sunbreakers will win. I want to see Kingslayers win for the story and the chaos because I'm not casting it and I get to just enjoy that chaos for once and not be a part of it.
That'll be nice there for Anthony. Gets a little day off for himself. All right, I'm gonna toss it over to Phoenix. Phoenix, why do we think that you and Fisher in this case think? And I guess to an extent also Anthony think.
I said Kingslayers.
Oh, you said Kingslayers too? Oh, okay. So in that case, Phoenix, lone wolf there. Why Sunbreakers in your opinion?
Well, I'll let Fisher. Do you have anything to add to what Anthony said?
Good point.
Oh, I mean, I guess I think first off, like Anthony kind of said, Sunbreakers could definitely still win it. Like you talked about a lot. They have that chemistry. They know each other's first names. I don't even know Anthony's first name, and we cast together all the time. But yeah, I mean, I guess
Craig.
It could be
Craig to me.
I mean, plus if I say Kingslayers, it's just gonna fuel Sunbreakers further. But I also believe lately Kingslayers have had such a night and day turnaround in the past few weeks that it's going to be a lot of momentum, not necessarily going against Sunbreakers, but kind of on their side, that I think it's really going to kind of carry them through it. Oh, thank you. Been holding on to that for 15
All right,
minutes.
Phoenix, back over to you, buddy.
Yeah. Why Sunbreakers? Okay, so
Why Sunbreakers?
I believe. Okay, so obviously I know all these guys pretty personally, not like extremely personal level, but
he knows their first names.
Yeah, so there is that portion of it, which I am pretty biased. But if I were to look at the play style, I think it's gonna depend for the Sunbreakers very much so on picks and bans, especially as what Anthony said, which is what the matchup I would have looked at for sure here. Even though you're totally right to do this, by the way, D'Lo, because Lucent is a great support player. If you can ban, is hard to say it, but if you can ban out Eba in a form or fashion that makes it so he's a little more uncomfortable on his team, it is going to be hard for Kingslayers to get over the quote-unquote hump, is what I would call it. Which is going to be what's going to happen in the dual lane for Sunbreakers. And then also, even we're kind of crapping on some people right now, but Poseidon is on this team. and is a very good player as well for Sunbreakers. So I don't think you only have to worry about the one member, which is Remarkable Wolf, great ADC, last pick in the Immortal division, all this kind of stuff, whatever. But I think there are 4 members on Sunbreakers that are all really good players, and I think that these guys are kind of just voting in the way of which they want to become the Sunbreakers of the casting team, is what it is. They want to be the antagonist. Maybe I'm the antagonist. Maybe I'm the one that's being weird now. I'm the ousted
It's
one.
all about perspective, my friend.
I do, yeah. Just to really quick, just to kind of agree and further, if we had to, I think Phoenix and I, probably not exactly character by character. I bet if we had to guess the picks and bans coming out from Sunbreakers against Kingslayers, it would be
3 junglers.
Yeah, it's almost all junglers, and they purposefully let Lucent have Yamoja, and they plan to play against Yamoja, and then they focus on getting. They basically they plan around getting Rama banned game 1, banning out the jungle game 1, letting them pick Yamoja, and you've already figured out the majority of what's happening in the game.
Yeah,
That's
so ban Pele, ban Bakasura, and ban Susano. Probably.
Throw Connect on your team, get past River's Rebuke. There's some solid options there on the board. Certainly, if you're going in planning to take on a Yamoja. But then it, of course, leaves the counterplay of, okay, they've built to counter this Yamoja. Let's just not pick Yamoja and throw him for a loop. So there's definitely some cool mind games we could see being played here. And I, for one, I'm sure the same goes for all of you guys here and everyone at home. Cannot wait to see it. But that being said, we're going to have to cut the chatter for here for Immortal. Finish strong with some godlike gossip. Stick around for some more. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. Really appreciate it. Once again, I'm D'Lo here for the Desk at Dusk Part 2. Part 3, in fact, of the Part 2, because now we're here for Godlike. I've got Anthony Mallon with me, waving slowly, keep doing the little princess wave. Thanks there, buddy. Kingfisher rubbing something out of his eye. He's crying. He's so emotional. Phoenix there, stoic as ever, rocking the crispest suit I've ever seen this side of my draft league. Welcome back, everyone. How we feeling?
Godlike, baby. Let's get it. Teddy522. Woo!
Woo, Teddy. And that's actually, thank you very much, because that leads perfectly to my first question here. Teddy, and Como Ordeñando Ratas. 2 icons of the jungle that will be squaring off in these upcoming finals. Both such skilled players, but the role of jungle is one that offers, I think, a wide array of ways to aid your team's success. You can decide high pressure game. I'm going to carry everyone in damage. I'm going to be getting all the kills in my pocket. It's going to be me. Or you can decide to spread that love, distribute it out. There's multiple ways that you can fit into the well-oiled machines that are these 2 godlike teams. How do you guys think that each of these players fulfills that unique role? Are there different ways that as jungles they operate within the confines of the Dark Omen and Sunbreakers?
100%.
Go on.
I view them, so Godlike for me, I've always, because I talked about it in the Divine section, that at a certain point, players have a skill cap that they hit in Smite, where everyone's mechanics are just unbelievable. There are obviously some things here and there, but everyone's mechanics are great, and it's how you play as a team, how you communicate, your decision-making, that's what differentiates you. When I think of godlike players, just like when you think of SPL players, when you think of characters, and they kind of match to the player. Like when you think of adapting, you think of like the Thor and the Fenrir, a Nemesis as well from old school, or when you think of new school, you think of Vape Coast, and you think of like the Kernanos and things like that, or Pagon Souling Venenu. You think of things like that. But when I think of Rat Milk, I think of these kind of they carry, but they sneaky carry. It's the Hoonbots and the Thor, and obviously the Thanatos is the outlier, but he plays characters that he does amazing on. He gets tons of kills on. But if you actually go back and look at the plays throughout the game, he's doing way more than that. He's getting the big Fear No Evils. He's using the Thor walls to block the Achilles.
That was crazy.
Ultimates. He's doing all these little things. But when I think of Teddy, I think of a hard carry. Could get 35, 40 kills in a game, and I wouldn't be surprised, and he could carry everyone through because he's got the Bakasura. He can play it nasty like that. I would be confident in saying that there's probably some kind of crazy crit Vamana that could drop 35 kills. It's that type of vibe. And when they match up, I'll keep it going old school because Phoenix and I were talking old school Smite before. This feels so much to me, and obviously everything's to scale, but I treat our players like they're SPL players because they put in that time for us. This to scale reminds me so much of Andinster versus Adapting when they're at their prime. They have two totally different play styles. They bring different things to their teams, but their teams work around them to that strength. Dark Omen knows, like, okay, Rapnilk's going to set up for us. Kaiveka can get the damage off. Power can free cast. And Sunbreakers knows if Teddy's going in the back line, we're hitting the gas pedal because he can kill everybody. And if we just follow up, we can win the game. And I think when those two things are going to meet, it's going to be crazy. I mean, last season, Premier Finals were a 3-0. And quite frankly, they were not the most entertaining games. I cannot, for the life of me, imagine a world where there is a boring game in this set.
Some strong, emphatic words there from Anthony. I'm going to toss it over to King Fisher, the other one who will be casting for this Godlike final. So, Fisher, any thoughts you want to add on to what Anthony's got for us?
I mean, just kind of off the top of my head, it seems like so much focus is onto the junglers in this set. Some of the other players are really going to kind of get passed by on almost, which really shouldn't happen. But with both these guys being such good junglers in like different ways that they play with their teams, I think specifically late game is what I always think about. It's going to be a lot more of the supporting cast around them. Both these guys are going to wreak havoc. I think the focus is going to be a lot more on what the rest of the team can do to kind of mitigate the enemy jungler than what they're doing themselves.
Fair enough. And don't worry, my friend. We will certainly be making sure to pay attention because, like you said, certainly a lot of media attention. We're guilty of it because a lot to the junglers because they are very prolific. They make the plays happen. But we do not want to not dole out or do kudos to those who may not get as much press attention as they should. So let's talk about them.
Versus Jabber
Two
goes
ADCs here.
Yep.
Two ADCs here. Jabber, Kavekia, that entered into their godlike heydays very late in the season, both of them, but have still made massive impacts in their sets that we've seen them present in. Massive plays, massive damage, high kill counts. They're doing fantastic. Do we expect the lane to run red with blood, or are we expecting some hesitancy on the side of these fresher faces of the teams because they respect each other's game?
You can talk first.
I'm gonna start actually here. I'm gonna start with Phoenix. Because we haven't heard from him in a little bit. Then we'll toss it over to Kingfisher.
Gotcha. All right. Well, what I've noticed, whenever we have these really two good players, even when we were talking about the jungle, right? Two really great players. Rat Milk last week. I'll go back to this real quick because I want to make one comment about it. Got up against one of the best junglers in our entire league, which is Midman. He teaches people how to play this game. Literally what he does. So and does it on stream all the time. So it's very crazy that Rat Milk did what he did in that first semifinals matchup. And so I don't even have to think about Rat Milk in my opinion. He's going to do crazy things no matter what. And so moving over to this ADC area where, yes, Jabber, a new addition, really aggressive player, but also can have some hesitancy, can hold back a little bit. I expect when you have two Goliaths and two humongous people walk into a lane like this, that we're not going to see the lane run as, run as red as you would think. You know, you would put up Zapman against almost any other DC and you say, oh, Zapman's going to do bloody murder here, right? It's going to be a crazy situation. Zapman doesn't play like that anymore. He used to. He used to do that. Him and Barracuda used to be very much so neck and neck, and players kind of like they would just fight each other all the time, pick their strongest gods, and do weird things with it. But when you get into these kind of matches with these type of players, they understand what they're up against. They understand the level of play they're up against. And so unless a gank comes in from one of the two junglers, which kind of makes me do another circle to the junglers again, here we go. If we get a big gank coming in, these guys will dive. They will just dive tower, sacrifice themselves, and be fine with it. It's no problem. That's kind of how they play this game, and they want the first blood. They want 3 kills for 1 death. That's how they do it.
But it's all going to come down to the impact from themselves because maybe they'll just be content to farm the lane. Kingfisher, I'm going to toss it over to you, and then Anthony, I think you have some thoughts as well. I can see.
I'm so emphatic about this matchup. I could go on a million. So
just hold it off, buddy. Just a little bit longer.
You're good.
If that's the case, I'll keep mine pretty brief. Because I
go on,
have a ton to say on this, but I don't know how aggressive it's going to be in lane, I think specifically, we talk about them all the time, but in my mind, neither of these junglers focus on duo a whole ton. I think with Ratmilk, we see him around solo lane, the mid lane a lot. I think Teddy's the same story, just because of how they play late game. So I think accordingly, for the ADCs, I'm really looking at the late game matchups. Not really lane. I don't expect either of them to really go crazy boxing. They're both incredibly good. They know how to farm. They know how to play the game. I don't think it's going to be anything wild. So I think how they approach a late game, and I think Kaveka in particular does an incredible job with Dark Omen late game, that's going to be a lot more impactful than anything they kind of do in lane.
Anthony, over to you. Thanks, Fisher.
What I'm kind of derailing a little bit, but what just blows my mind about this matchup, and I was on the Eclipse versus Dark Omen train from the start, and that was the finals I thought was going to happen, and we got it round 1. But I will say, every lane's matchup is absurd. Absolutely just unbelievable. Support is crazy to think about. Solo lane could be the bloodbath that you're talking about with Dulo. Probably will be, in all honesty. I mean,
I've seen Teddy camp that lane, like literally just sit there for like 30 seconds. I'm pretty sure on the Circuit.
I was talking about
Like
paying a mortgage.
he is a madman. He's like in a ghillie suit waiting to snipe someone. He's just been there for days.
So honestly, what I think to look out for, if I could try to simplify my own thoughts, is if you're watching it, see from game 1, where are the junglers sitting? And when the junglers are sitting there, how far over is mid rotating? If they're full committing to counter rotate each other, that means the entire game plan is around solo lane, and duo lane will be forgotten about, and they'll show up at 25 minutes, they'll jump 10k damage, and it'll feel like they did nothing, but they'll win the game. If anything were to be different, what I could see being different, and this is super metagaming, but Kaveka is somebody who is getting a lot of hype and attention right now, not just from us, but in SOC. He has pro players and casters and everyone talking about how talented he is and how good he is. If that makes its way in, I wouldn't be surprised to kind of see Ratmilk, who plays with Kaveka, to really put some unexpected pressure in duo, try to get the strong player ahead, and almost, it's more of a Call of Duty thing, but almost like ego chow throughout the entire game and just use that to skyrocket.
Yeah, gonna see if we can get some solid kill streaks there against the opposing carry. And apologies if our praise there screwed you over there, Jabber. If you get camped, it's not on us, buddy. It's
He
out of our
almost dropped the
hands.
nuke on Thanatos. Now that you say it,
there it is. You just
he
gotta
was
try to do that.
23-1.
24.
Oh shoot, true. He almost got the
24-2.
WMD.
See what
Hold
I
on
mean,
a second.
dude? Sorry.
The
Insane.
Ratmilk super fan gets it wrong.
Ban Thanatos.
Yeah, dude. POV, like
Just
you see like the
rename him
timer
to
pop up.
Ban Thanatos and ban Baka if you're Dark Omen.
Can we start a like hashtag Banatos in the chat, please?
Banatos. I like
Or
that, man.
They each let Baka and let Thana through.
Ooh,
You know, that would be
They
a
all pass bans.
M5, you know what to do.
huge,
no bans
huge
for game
ego
5.
check if that's the case. And those are always the best games to see when everyone's comfortable and you can't put any excuses on it. It just comes down to who's going to be technically executing the best in those cases, who's got the best comms, who's got the best synergy with their team, who is making the right moves, and who is falling into the dust. So I'd love to see that. Gotta say though, I don't have too high hopes. I think each team has a lot of respect for each other. They've seen the horrible war crimes, atrocities they've committed against those they've left behind, the bloody corpses of other teams that they've left in their wake to get to these finals. But that being said, no more speak. It's time to pick the predicted winner of Godlike Finals. Let's talk about it, guys. So, Dark Omen versus Sunbreakers. Think about it. Anthony's biting his hand.
Because mine is so obvious that I'm so curious if I'm alone. I mean, there's no way I'm changing mine ever. I'm just curious if I'm alone.
Kingfisher, deep in thought right now. Really,
I know.
Phoenix looking
I
at the
bet
sky.
I could guess Phoenix's. There's no way I could guess Fisher because I feel like I'm gonna get abandoned I'm gonna get left at the train station. But
Well, I mean, you guys are casting together, so hopefully
I'm going the same.
no
I'm going the
trouble
same
in
way as
paradise here.
Anthony. I'm going the same way as Anthony. I think him and I are on the same page. So
Let's see. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Dark Omen.
Sunbreakers.
What? I knew
All
it! I
right,
knew it!
all right.
I knew I would be left alone at the train station. I've got nothing but a note. My bags are pouring out. There's clothes
Phoenix,
everywhere.
chopped liver?
I'm depressing. Phoenix is with me. I guess I have.
Darkoman.
I guess
why
I have
are
a new
you
wife. I
alone?
have a new homecoming date. I'm going with a new date.
No,
I think-
hey, no,
well,
no.
I don't think you can
changed
ban
my
out
mind.
Rat Milk.
Changed my mind.
All
Hey,
right, well,
hold up.
Fisher's now been left at the altar. That's gotta be rough.
You didn't have to bring up the homecoming date, okay, dude?
I'm hurt.
He's dressed in the suit already, bro.
We
he bought
cast
He took
season
his
1
bag off.
Rat Milk. My man was just running at people with Pele. There was
Alright,
no
let's-
brain.
Hasn't played Pele
Volcanic
in a while.
lightning ape. I'm sorry. I'm
Let's,
sorry.
hold on. Putting a lid on it.
End
Emotions
with
are
me,
high.
then. End with me. Give me a minute.
Emotions are high. Anthony, take a count to 3. Deep breaths. Deep breathing exercise. You have to do that for your yelling. So make sure you're. Yeah, there he is. He's got some ibuprofen for himself. All right, Kingfisher, talk to me, buddy. It's okay. It's just you and me here. Don't
What are you
don't even
picking,
focus on those
Fisher?
guys. Tell me.
Huh?
Tell me
What
why.
do you pick?
Well, why do you think
I already picked. Why do
Did
you
you
think
pick
Anthony got so?
Sunbreakers? Or
he
did
picked
you pick-
Sunbreakers?
Yeah.
Why do you think? Why do you pick
Oh, I thought
Sunbreakers,
you said
buddy?
you were switching. I thought you said you were switching.
No, he's
I
just messing.
would
Talk to me.
I would happily switch to keep Anthony on my side,
Talk
but
to me.
I
Okay,
mean,
too late.
so in my heart, I do think Dark Omen's gonna win. I think holistically they're a more impressive team,
Okay.
but Sunbreakers, these playoffs, just how coordinated they've played together, I think it's really hard to root against them. Because for me at least, Dark Omen almost went out round 1, and to be fair, we expected that to be one of the championship matchups. I think a lot of us did. It's not really surprising, but I don't know. I'm so conflicted because I personally feel like Dark Omen is maybe a little bit of a better team, but Sunbreakers have looked so impressive this playoffs that I really can't root against them. End of the day, though, would not be surprised to see Dark Omen win at all. I mean, they've been lights out as well. Sorry, Anthony.
The question is, will Sunbreakers get the right time to arrive to their game during this set? I think that's gonna be
Oh.
the real clincher. Will their coach?
I will
Fisher
say,
give them that
this
one?
is a bit of a peek behind the curtain. I am helping and I'm a part of their scheduling process for Godlike.
Okay,
First time
all
we've
right,
ever
Anthony's
done
in the
that for
case.
any division ever. So I'm not as worried about Godlike.
Actually, no, hold on. But Anthony's rooting here for Dark Omen. This could be the ultimate election steal. This man is looking to rig the Smite Draft League Season 2
I know,
finals.
I did mention about sending Power's boss a fruit basket and crossing the border to Peru to charm his boss for a day off. So,
Wow.
but
this man will
Zombie
go to
Crusher
no
saw
length.
the whole thing and didn't say anything. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
All right,
Okay,
Phoenix,
well,
go ahead.
You know,
I'm
what's-
sorry.
what stays at the
Yeah,
desk
I'll
at
do
dusk.
it.
You know,
I'll go
won't be
first real
mentioned.
quick, and then you can add anything you want to. Okay. So in the previous one, in Immortal, we were talking the previous division, Immortal. We were talking about they're gonna ban out Ibu was taken, right? They're gonna try to ban him out. 3 gods, fine, we're good to go. Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same with Dark Omen. You cannot ban out Rat Milk. Rat Milk has pulled out, I think, 15 different picks throughout this season. It's one of the most ridiculous god pulls in the game. He does not care what freaking god he gets. He plays it like out of his mind. And not only that, but his team supports him in playing that god. And I think junglers in this current meta, even though they are nerfed, they're mightily nerfed in this current meta, can still win games like big time. Especially when Rat Milk is playing, he can play Ratatasker and still win games like disgustingly. He can build the crit build, he can build the penetration build. He'll do extremely well. He can play Thor. He can play Habwa. He can play Ao Kuang, which is one of Teddy's picks. Like it's one of those things where like you can take every single god from the enemy god. Teddy does not have as many picks as Rat Milk, and I think that's pretty definitive. I'm gonna be honest with you. We have not seen Teddy expand his pool as much as we've seen Rat Milk do his. So I expect that when Dark Omen comes to the table here, even though that first round with Eclipse was like the big, basically matchup for them, and it was a close matchup, as Kingfisher did say, I'm not worried about it because I think that I do not think that even man, it's hard to say it. I don't think that Sunbreakers are even as good as King Slayers and Godlike because that team gave up a challenge kind of to Dark Omen in some lanes, especially. I would say like in the Soul lane, it was a little bit of a challenge sometimes. In the first game, the second game was not as much of a challenge. But I expect that the challenge that Dark Omen will take on will be just like in the Eclipse division. And once they catch on to what exactly Sunbreakers is doing, they're going to snap on, and they're going to be unstoppable. Rat Milk's going to immediately get all the picks he wants, and then the entire team's going to dive in with him underneath the T2 if they have to. And Rat Milk's going to be 8-1 by 10 minutes into the game, and it's going to be done. It's going to be game over. So I agree with Anthony, and I will post the GIF with him, but I don't speak Spanish as well as you two do.
It's a great GIF.
It is a great GIF.
All right.
Disturbing as all hell.
So
Go off, Anthony.
There's so many things I gotta say, man. I'm gonna try my best. Rat Milk has posted his God pool on Twitter, which is wild for a jungler to do. To back up what Phoenix said, I do love watching Rat Milk. I love watching any competitive player. Fisher did, he mentioned the whole Rat Milk stand thing. Not as crazy as you might think, because I didn't know Rat Milk's most played character. When he posted it, man has like tens of stars on Sasano, and I don't think we ever even saw Sasano be played by Rat Milk, and it didn't get banned a lot. And then he pulled it out in the SCC game against Migi's team. Obviously, they did not win, but he still played it, and he played it well. What blows my mind all season, and I've talked about this in games, for anyone that, if there's a single person who watches every single set we do, they would have heard me say this a million times. Dark Omen doesn't pick their jungler until the second to last pick or the last pick in every single game they play. That is asinine. There is not a team out there that would be okay doing that in any other world, any division, any skill level, even up to SPL. Think about how many times unless there was some calculated reason, think about how many times you've seen Adapting pick his character last. It doesn't happen. But they can ban 6 characters, because I can think of Pele, Kleena, Thanatos, Hoonbots, Thor, Daji's been played. The Pele is won Season 1 finals in 3 games by dominating on Pele. That's the whole reason Fisher, Cosmic, and I gave Rat Milk Season 1 champion MVP, because the Pele was so disgusting that it was better than Ace Concept, who was dropping 14 kills in the finals. Like, that is ridiculous. And that was against more Godlike players who, say what you want when they underperform. If you took any Godlike team, even the ones who perform the worst, they're going to do really, really well, if not dominate any other team. They are truly at a different level. It's that skill ceiling and cap that we were talking about. I will never bet against Rat Milk because he makes his team better. And Dark Omen is so good. Kaveka, Power, everyone, they're all so good that when your jungler is that good, everybody's elevated. And maybe I'm a psycho because we're just a draft league. I really would have loved to see this Dark Omen be an SOC team, just because the way that they all play is so good it's so crazy to watch. You can learn so much by watching every lane, not just Rat Milk of Dark Omen. And I will give credit where credit's due, because I'm the one who screamed Teddy first, even though Delo's famous for the clip now. But Sunbreakers is nasty, and Teddy has the potential to solo carry his team.
Yeah, I mean, we are gonna have to officially label Smite Draft League's Twitch as educational, because they run a clinic. They, as we all say, they take you to school. They show what it's like to play these characters at their apex. They show what it's like to be good in your role, to fit well within a team, operate as a well-oiled machine. Passionate words coming out here from all 3 of the casters here at the desk.
Exhausted.
Gonna have to see. It's okay, buddy. We're almost done here, but we're gonna have to see where the chips fall when it comes to this Godlike game. But we are out of time. Thank you very much, Phoenix, Kingfisher, and Anthony Malum, for being part of the finals content special. Thank you, everyone at home, for tuning in with us as we talk late in the night.
I'm hijacking.
Hijack? Go
I
ahead.
didn't tell you I was going to do this because I wanted it to be genuine. Since you guys are here and it's our last little death segment before the end of the season, I wanted to give you each a chance to say a little thing to the viewers, to the players.
In that case, we'll start off over here on the side of Phoenix. Go on ahead. What you got?
Sorry to put you on the spot, but you guys made it through a full season. We're at the end. I thought it'd be a fun little thing.
Improv, loser.
No, I got it. Yeah, this season has been my first season in casting, and I think Delo's as well. So whenever Delo says his stuff, I've had a great time being Denix with Delo, my partner. I think that ever since we had Scouting Grounds, I got a message from Anthony that said, I want to put you with Delo as much as possible. And I think that out of all the casters, I think Delo and I have really worked out really well, and I've been able to communicate with him a ton. So thank you to D'Lo, obviously. He's taken on a lot of stuff this season for all the casters, not just
Good
me.
man.
And then shout out to all of our players, of course. Yeah, I have casted a ton of Immortal, and I've this obviously will come up later. I've applied to be an LC. I hope to be an LC for Immortal if I can be. I love these guys. I literally love every one of them. I've subbed for, I scouted ground with them, subbed for them multiple
He
times.
knows their first names.
I know some of the team's first names, and I got 3 of the players into the. When I joined the SDL, I pulled 3 players in. Phoenix, the other Phoenix, literally, I pulled him in. Dark NMS, and then Remarkable Wolf was already here. He pulled me in, but then I pulled in one of his friends, and it worked out very well. So like, it was really cool to like watch the Immortal division basically be all my friends that I pulled into the thing, and be on separate teams and challenge each other. I could message them and be like, "Hey, how'd that scrim go? Hey, this," and so. Obviously a shout out to the Immortal division. I didn't really get to cast as many of the other divisions, but full out respect to the Godlike division for playing as many games as they did this season. That was very difficult in comparison to last season. I know it's always hard for them to match up and make sure they play their games. Let's hope, fingers crossed, the playoffs actually end up happening for them, because it could, it could explode and end up having to delay by 2 days or something like that. Who knows?
Don't say that, bro.
Hey.
Tell me it ain't so.
Knocking on wood. It ain't
There
gonna
it is.
happen. Teddy 522 and Rat Milk will see each other on whatever night it is. They've already had to have it planned, so we're good.
right,
But shout
hopefully.
out to the Godlike boys and obviously the Divine team as well. I hope to see a lot of those Divine guys in Immortal Division next season. Hopefully, get to cast them as well. That'd be super exciting. But yes, great season. And this is my sign off. I'm not casting in the playoffs, so I will see you guys in the next season.
Thank you very much for that, Phoenix. All your time spent here has really been appreciated, buddy. I'm gonna toss over to Kingfisher. What you got?
I mean, this season in particular, I mean, I was the first caster into this league in season 1. I've kind of seen it since day 1 get off the ground. Like, first game of the first season, I was there. And to watch it grow over time, I mean, we have over 1,000 members in the Discord server now, closing in on 1,000 on Twitch. It's been really, really special to be able to be around for that and just kind of see that growth. Obviously, I love casting. All these guys love casting. And to everyone in the community that either plays, watches a Twitch stream, or just hangs out and lounge and watch me feed my brains out in Assault. It's been I mean, yeah, it's just been awesome. I really can't say thank you enough for everyone in the community, whether you've been a big part, a small part, you're still an important part. Yeah, thank you all for making it possible. Can't wait for all the finals.
D'Lo.
It's gonna be awesome. Anthony, I'll toss it over to you, man.
No, you go first, D'Lo.
Sure. All right. By all means, then. Well, I mean, as Phoenix said there for me, I was my first season coming here at Smite Draft League. I had not touched this game in bricks. I remember in my application I talked about how I all I remember was like Pele. That was last got released. And truth be told, I still don't have this game downloaded.
I was gonna expose that for you.
I'm gonna expose that. I don't have this game downloaded. It would take me a year. The next season would pass before I get all the gigs down.
funny.
That thing is a meaty boy to download on my Xbox. I am a controller, console kid. I am crusty in that way. Phoenix is freaking the hell out of town.
2018. You haven't played for 5 years, 6 years.
I knew the secret, and Nublet knew the secret. I wasn't gonna say anything.
I don't mind, man. Listen, it's been a ton of fun. Like when I saw it on, fun fact, I came here through Casting Call Club, a voice acting website. When I saw the ad, I was like, huh, sounds pretty fun. I never really casted for much other than Smash Bros. So I just appreciate all the support that's been going on, because when I see someone say something kind in the comments or in the chat regarding some whack call I make, which there are many to behold, and I look forward to recounting the clips when it comes to the content we got coming up for you. But it brings a smile to my face. I genuinely appreciate the support in the community. I appreciate the support of my production team here. They're the best. They've been putting in the hours. I really appreciate being part of a product that I feel like I'm very proud of, and then I can tell that everyone else is working towards to make themselves proud of it as well. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for participating. We couldn't do this without the players, couldn't do this without the production team, couldn't do this without every single part of this Discord, of this server, that brings an element that makes it a special place to be, to play some Smite, because it's just fun. It's just fun, man. It's a game for me, and I hope that it's been entertaining for you guys to watch all of our wacky stuff that we got going on here. But I'll toss it over to man Anthony. What you got?
Yeah, I kind of have the not fun job. There'll be another sign off towards the end of the special, but I will say that I cast a lot of games in season 1, and even more in Season 2 than I could have possibly imagined. I will speed run through my lore since we got a bit of lore from everybody. I have been trying to cast Smite since August of 2015 was the very first application I sent to anything. We all know I tried very hard to cast for Friday Night Smite. That certainly did not work out. I took casting lessons with Verbalocity. I was signed up for casting lessons with other people, and to be able to stop trying, do other stuff, do podcasts and radio, and then do some fighting games, and then come back and be able to cast Smite is so exciting for me. Commentating is... Nublet actually asked me this recently about what, like, the thing I want to do. I was the most cringy kid because my responses were I wanted to commentate sports. Cringiest kid, because everybody was like, that's not even a job, because kids. But that's just always the thing I've wanted to do. Getting to do it on any scale, but getting to make things feel special for people who are just doing this when they get home from work, and making it feel like they're a part of something that's actually exciting and big is awesome, because not everyone gets the chance to be an SPL player or whatever it may be. And getting to watch other people get better and better and better at casting has been really cool, and I'm really proud of everything that everyone's done. And I work so close, and I talk to Nublet so much, and I won't dox the name, but our girlfriends share a first name, and they both want to kill us, so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Nublet and how much Nublet puts into. And I'm proud of everybody, and I'm happy that this season has been so good, and I'm excited for Season 3 to be better. I feel confident saying we have the best casting team for the amateur leagues, because it is a team, and it's actually a lot of casters. Egos don't exist with us, and we just want to make everyone look good. And that'll continue, and that'll continue, and that'll continue, whether it's Smite, whether it's some other game 5 years from now, whatever it may be. And I'm just proud of it. And I thank the players, and I also speak for staff when I thank them for being a part of it, and we thank them for giving us something we could be so proud of.
Absolutely. Some nice sentimental feel-good moments to exit out on. So, with that being said, guys, I've been D-Lo. You just watched the Smite Draft League Dapper Desk at Dusk. Keep an eye to this guy for those Discord notifications when we go live. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow the Twitch. And until next time, drop my phone out.
That shit's broken.
2 a.m. and I'm lost in Brooklyn. Missing home. I know you don't. We'll catch y'all later.
By the way, when you called me Heisenberg, it was everything I could do not to respond with "you're goddamn right."
You should have done it. You should have done it.
I didn't want y'all to have to bleep me out. Like,
bro, you dropped the F-bomb 3 times in that interview. What do you mean?
Did I? I thought I bleeped myself out. Fuck.
No, bro. I'm gonna be in there. I'm gonna be in there working in them sensor sounds, buddy. Z10, you better knock that shit out before casting, otherwise you're fucked.
Date Arby would live a great life together. Snuggle Oath because he's a massive man. Met him at Worlds and cuddle right up in there. And then kiss Cub because he's the most beautiful man I've ever seen.
And welcome back to week 5 of this league. We have the challengers with you here. It's the Volcanic Lightning against the... I forgot their name again.
I'm Kingfisher. I'm not Kingfisher. I am Cosmic Warrior. He is Kingfisher.